what if we could reverse engineer our life? Like, when our kids are 20, 30, 40 years old, what do we want them to say about us? What do we want our business to look like? What do we want our income to look like? So we threw a chat and we started working through a prompt into chat and started working through it. And about halfway through, we said, you know what? Rather than reinvent the wheel, let's just wait till next Thursday when we learn from somebody who's actually built this incredible business. And so that is why Jay Kinder is here. He's sold over 4,000 homes. He became the number 2 agent with Coldwell Banker worldwide in his 20s. And he specializes in building scalable systems instead of relying solely on hustle. And he is going to help us become the CEO of our real estate businesses. So please stand up, put your hands together, and welcome to the stage, Jay Kinder.
Good stuff. Yeah, you guys are too kind. You're too kind. I always like to start by giving you guys fair warning. I'm just a redneck from Oklahoma. I always tell people I graduated in the top 25 of my class, but there was only 36 of us. So I'm literally living proof that if I could do this, anybody can do this. So how many of you in the room feel like there's another level that you could get to, but your results don't quite show it yet? How many of you feel like you're there? Okay. So then the question becomes, what is the capability problem? What's keeping one person from getting to their goals and what's the other? For 30 years, I tried to figure this out. I knew how to help. I knew what skills you needed. I knew what system you needed. I knew what plan you needed. And one person would get there and the other person would get stuck. And it's the most incredible thing to try to solve, right? Why do some people get stuck and others not? And so what I'm going to share with you guys today is, I spent a long time on this 6 mountains. It's interesting. I told every story, and I'll probably share a lot of these stories that here today, to ChatGPT, and it ended up being like 15 hours. You didn't get anything done in like 5 seconds in ChatGPT. 15 hours back and forth, me and ChatGPT trying to just break down to the principles. How do I add the most value and unlock the human? That's the thing, because the possibility is here. We don't have a possibility problem. We have an unlock problem. So we'll get started. We don't have a potential problem. We have an unlock problem. What's keeping you stuck and not achieving your full potential? All of us realize that that's happening. And so that's what we're going to try to do today. There's a lot of slides. This thing got real deep. And so I'm super excited to share it. It's really going to be a lot of fun. But I think you're going to leave here today understanding, hey, there's a shortcut to success. And how many of you feel like when you got your real estate license, they should have gave you a plaque that said, figure it out? Anybody? Yeah. Same here. Like, absolutely, there's no plan. There's really nobody helping you. A lot of random people start giving you advice on things to do, and you really just don't know what you don't know, right? And so you have to be really, really resilient to figure it out. Like, it's so funny. I was talking to Brent's dad in the back of the room, and Brent, back in the day, I saw Brent. I flew to Toronto. I was at an event. Brent's at that same event. We're both just trying to figure stuff out. And Brent flew to my office to see my team in Lawton, Oklahoma. That's not a very impressive trip. You would never plan travel around. There's no Napa Valley there, I'll say that. But he came and visited. He's looking at the things we're doing. We're learning from each other. Like, there's no map. There's no game plan. There's nobody helping you. And I think that's what makes this game very difficult to figure out. So we're going to unlock you guys here today. So my goal is not to move all of you onto the same mountain. It's to help you identify what mountain you're actually on, understand what's keeping you there, and unlock the person your next mountain requires, right? What really we're trying to do here is it's about the person you have to become to climb the mountain that you're on right now. That's really what it is. And it's much, much simpler than what I think you're going to find you've probably been trying. So it's funny, my son Riggs, he's my feral child. My wife's here, by the way, Amber in the back. I brought my wife to Napa, thanks to Brent. They set up a bunch of wine tours, so my wife likes to drink wine. I stopped drinking 9 months ago, which means I just get to pick on my wife the whole time, and I get to give her double pours, and so we've been having fun. So I'm glad she's here. She has the blessing of getting to listen to me all day long, and she doesn't listen to me at all. So she's being forced to be in the room today, so I'm glad she's here. So give her a hard time. I'll probably do that today. But Riggs is our feral child. That's how we refer to him. And he gets really mad when things don't go his way. Like he's a lot like me. I was the same way when I was younger, but he had a football practice. It happened it happens every time something doesn't go his way. He had football practice and he he's pissed off. He's in the car, and he's like, I suck at this, man. I didn't play well, blah, 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 blah. And he's just complaining. And we went snowboarding in Tahoe last year, and actually over Christmas. And, they never snowboarded. So, going down the mountain, snowboarding sucks. This is, blah, blah. I mean, he's just like absolutely the worst to deal with. And I'm like, dude, it's a lot of fun. You just got to figure it out, man. It's not that hard. Let me show you. Let me help you. I ended up going down the mountain. I told Amber, I said, listen, I'm going to be here all day. So he already went to the school. Always recommend put your kids in the snowboarding school. But he still was just trying to figure it out. And so we go back up the mountain, and I left my board down there. I was like, I'm going to have to walk down this mountain with him while we figure it out. And he's literally just beside himself the whole time. And finally he figures it out. And I had to walk down the mountain by myself because he figured it out. He started snowboarding. He left me behind. And he loves it now. Loves it. But he forgets how much he hated it and he wanted to quit. And I told him in the football example, the same thing happened. He doesn't learn. He's the same every time. It's like wakeboarding. I hate this. This sucks. And it's a little bit harder to get up. And, and again, I said, you remember what was on the other side of snowboarding? It was worth it? He's like, yeah. So I told him, I said, listen, man, when you were little, dude, you couldn't walk. I don't know if you remember. Probably not. But, you were just fumbling around, fall down. It was for months, dude, we watched you. You couldn't walk. And I said, you ain't crawling around today. What happened? You figured it out. You didn't give up. And so I think as adults, we forget. Even as young as he is, he's already forgotten that. He thinks that struggle is the hard part. The struggle is no fun. The struggle is the only way. You have to embrace the struggle. That's where the growth happens. And so a lot of times we think, this doesn't work, whatever the case may be, and it's because it's the interpretation, and we'll get to that. So growth always feels like incompetence before it feels like confidence, right? And so, you have to embrace the struggle. So by the time we finish, I want you to know 4 things: where you're at, what lie is keeping you stuck, the truth that the mountain you're on requires, and the next action that will create believable evidence that you can climb it. Because that's the real key. Once you have a little bit of belief, and as I was going through these slides, there's ChatGPT gave me the best version to present. I would have probably done it a little bit differently, so I want to tell these stories early, but I've got some stories that are going to illustrate a lot of this that we'll get into, but they're timed a little differently, so if I go back and forth, that might be why. So, all right, so struggle and suffering are not the same. So sometimes we interpret the struggle as suffering. Struggling, the struggle is hard. I don't know how to do it yet. What am I missing yet? That's a key thing. What am I missing? If you look at something and say, what am I missing? I'm trying to do this. It's not working. What am I missing? Suffering is, this is hard. I'm not capable. The market's down. Is the market down here? Tell me about the market here. Is it down? Is inventory up? Inventory down? Flat? Okay, yeah, everywhere is different right now. So some markets, 9 offers on a property. And then it's again sub-markets, right? Sub-markets are different in every market. So it's a very different marketplace that I've seen in a long, long time. And it brings challenges. And sometimes you just feel like, man, it's the market, man. I met with 10 buyers and they're all sitting on the fence. 3% interest rates. These people don't want to move. Nothing I can do. That's suffering, right? So that you're suffering. There's not a clear path. When there's not a clear path through, you're suffering. And so we want to get into the struggle and learn, hey, what am I missing, man? Some people are selling houses. Are people moving? There's some people moving. Who are they? Could we find them? Maybe somebody's finding them. So yeah, there's a way, and we just have to find that path and get into the struggle. So purpose, this talk was assigned to me, and I was like, okay, cool, I can do that. And it was a lot of enlightenment that happened as I went through trying to determine, how am I going to talk about this, man? Did I have purpose in the beginning? I was like, I don't think I had any purpose. I don't know what I was doing. And so purpose didn't make me successful. Success created the capacity to discover my purpose. Right? I didn't have no purpose. I was doing it out of necessity. I just needed a job. And I'll tell you a funny story about that in a minute. So the purpose changed what I did with success, right? And so my journey in real estate, this is what it looked like. And so I was very fortunate, and I'm going to share with you the reasons why this was able to happen, because I was certainly not deserving of it. I got a little bit lucky in the way that I approached things, and that'll all come clear in a minute. And so evidence kept expanding the size of the future that I could see. So I did 22 deals my first year, 39, 71, 110, 233, 367. Then I did 367 again. I hit a wall, which is really good, because when you think you're doing things right and you got it all figured out, you need to get checked a little bit. And that's it was actually a really good lesson that you don't know shit, Jay. Like that's literally what you when you hit a wall and you're like, oh, I thought I knew everything. No, you don't know anything. Guess what? You get to start over again and learn something new again. And then 531, and I did between 400 and 500 transactions for about a decade. And this was back when that wasn't cool. It seems like everybody's doing more than that now, but it's not really the goal. But I just want to illustrate the person that I had to become on each mountain to get to these next levels and help you to identify where you're at and just that first step you got to take to get to that, to get up the mountain. And so the moment of possibility became mathematics. So it was really interesting. When I got into real estate, my dad owned a Coldwell Banker. He gave me a goal sheet. I think it was after my first year. My goals were this. No joke. I still have this paper. $35,000. By 5 years, I wanted to make $50,000. Okay, and so I wasn't some big visionary. Hey, I'm going to be number one in the world. No. I had no idea what I wanted. I was just like, that seems like a good number. It's better than what I'm making now. And so I set these goals and looked back. It had you go through and look back, like where did your last deals come from? I was like, oh, it seems like that. Well, open house, I did FISBO and then expired. And this and that. And so I started to see the evidence of what was working. I was like, okay. And so I set these, I'd set these goals and I was like, okay, I need to go on this many appointments. And it forced you to do this. I didn't know these numbers, so I had to make them up in the beginning. And I was like, well, there's no chat GPT, so I literally made the numbers up. It's like, well, how many listings that you take actually sell? I was like, I don't know, half of them? That was normal in Oklahoma. Not everything is sold. I was blessed to be in a market where the average sale price was really low. That's not a blessing, actually. It did teach me a lot of things because I couldn't overspend for things. It had to be, in order for me to get to where I went, I had to do it with less dollars being earned per transaction. And so it taught me a lot of things in order for me to step out of that business later on. So it was a blessing in that regard. But there was a time that I set a goal for $1 million in income. And I was like, this is crazy numbers, right? For me, I was about 24 years old, maybe 25 at the time. And I'm coming back from a Coldwell Banker event. I did these goals, and I remember I hit 200,000, and I hit exactly the number of appointments I needed, to the number of listings taken, to the number of sales. And I was like, holy, I just made that shit up, and I actually did it. And even my tax guy, he was blown away. I didn't even have an LLC. He's like, you made more money than me. And I was like, is that a good thing? He's like, you owe a lot of taxes. And I was like, okay. Well, he's like, don't worry about that. Just keep doing what you're doing. I was like, okay. So I went out. The next year I set a goal. And this is such a big goal for me at the time. It was $500,000. And reverse engineered it. I was like, that's doable, I guess. Like it didn't appear to me that it wasn't possible. It just was, that's what needed to be done. And I did 530,000 that year, or 510,000. I hit literally the exact number. And I was like, this goal setting is magic. Like, it was unbelievable to me. I was blown away by this. And so I'm sitting on the plane. My mom and dad are in front of me. We're at a Coldwell Banker event. And we come back. I'm going to, at this point, I have paid every coach, every trainer. There's nobody that hasn't got my money, man. I'm going to Mike Ferry. I went to Mike Ferry. Let me tell you how old I am. I went to Mike Ferry. Who's been to Mike Ferry before? Okay. So now I know back in 1998, Mike Ferry was very much a rah-rah session. Okay. He sold tapes. There was tapes, not a joke, tapes. Legit, yeah. There was a green tape and a red tape. And one of them you were supposed to listen to while driving around. The other one while you're sleeping. What kind of crazy shit is that, right? I was like, okay. I think I was blessed with just being dumb enough to do whatever somebody told me. Like, okay, well, I'll do it. I'd wake up. When do you plan on moving? When do you plan on moving? Like, it was crazy, but there was value in that. There was value in that. Then, it was, by referral only. I'm like, most of the people that I knew were still doing cake stands in college. So there was no sphere of influence that, I could tap into. I had to figure out, how do you get customers? And that was the biggest, okay, well, what do you do? Well, get on. I had floor time. Remember those days? Y'all still have floor time, anybody in your office? Yeah. So floor time, you sit up there for 3-4 hours, you're a receptionist for free. It's basically what it is. And so, every once in a while somebody would come in and you might get to go show property. And just trying to figure it out, there was not an easy way. So every time I would go to one of these events, I would pick up a little something and I'll come back, I'd try it, and sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. And I wrote down this goal, did $1 million to $1 million, and that was a really big number. It is a big number. It was really a big number when the average sale price is like 70,000. Okay, it takes a lot of houses to get there. But I reverse engineered it, and there wasn't a place for me to put the number of people and how many deals I was going to have to build a team to hit that. And I was like, this math, there isn't even a place for it on there. But it looks like that would be doable. That year I did $1,030,000. And I was like, this is incredible. It's not really the goal setting, but it was just understanding that there was a way to get to it. There was actually, the math was there, right? And so it's okay to be ambitious. How many of you have big goals? How many of you in the room have big goals? Okay, so it's okay to have be ambitious. I didn't start out as ambitious. I discovered my ambition when I saw things might be possible. That's really when it happened for me. And so just understand the mountain isn't the destination. It's the person that you're going to become climbing that mountain. And that's really what you're going to experience to get to the next one. And unfortunately, there's a new mountain there. At the top of that mountain is a beautiful view of another mountain you get to climb. And so just embrace that. All right, so success is more homes, more words, more people, more complexity. And there was a time that I remember we had 57 closings in 1 month. Big month. It was exhausting. It was one of those months where deals fell apart. I mean, I'm drinking at the office at 3 o'clock. Like, I hate my life. It was just a bad month. And I remember we wiped down the board, wiped it down to nothing. I was like, shit, we got to do that again next month? It's like, this is exhausting. And so, really, freedom, which I think is what we're all after, right? Really, freedom is what we're all after. It's doing what you want, when you want, whenever you want, with whomever you want, without resetting to zero at the beginning of every month. So this was what I was chasing. But in the beginning, I was like, I want to do more. I want to do more. To me, success was more. It wasn't more freedom, because the more homes and most people don't know this, but like when I sold 500 plus homes and I was doing that for a number of years, that was the most miserable I've ever been in my life. Most miserable I've ever been. It wasn't the goal. I spent all these years climbing this ladder of success. Give me all these awards. They put me on stage, all of that. And it really wasn't the goal. It didn't give me any more time freedom. That's for sure. And so the goal is really freedom. And so when we built this years ago, when trying to diagnose, hey, where are you at? What stage of business, based on the number of deals you're doing, I could tell you exactly what your life feels like. I know where your struggle is. I know what it feels like. I know the one thing you need to do that would make the biggest difference to move to the next stage. And we created this 8 stages, and it was great at identifying the systems, the people, the next hire you needed to make, everything you need to do to get to the next level. I knew exactly what you needed to do, and I could coach you to do those things. But what perplexed me always was the fact that one person would do it and the other person didn't. And they both had the same exact opportunity. And so today, we're going to talk about how to break through that. So same opportunity, same tool, same plan, different lives. And the big difference is Agent A, interesting, what am I missing? What am I missing? When they see somebody that's doing it, when you see, who in here sold more than 100 homes in a year? Now, when you see those hands that just went up, do you think to yourself, what do they got that I don't? What do they figure? They figure something out. They got something, or do you look at that and say, man, they must be lucky, or they've been doing it longer than me. And it's really how you interpret what it is that you see. And every single person here, there's a path to how they got there. They're not special. I can guarantee you, I am not special. I was not super ambitious, and I was going to go sell all these homes. None of that. It was just the way you interpret when you see somebody that's having success, and whether you can learn something or not, or this isn't going to work. This isn't. I'll tell you a story later that ties this all together. But the result becomes a verdict. It's like, yeah, but for them that's okay, but yeah, that's not me, and that's not truth. So my job is to help unlock the human who could build the business. And most coaches teach people what to do. The 6 Mountains helps you become the person who can actually do it. Does that sound good? Yeah. Cool. So these are the 6 mountains. The first mountain, possibility, is you see that it's possible, right? So do you even see that there's possible? Everybody almost every hand went up in the room when you felt like there's a level that your results do not yet show. That means that you see possibility, right? There's a possibility. That's the first mountain. Capability. We'll go all through these in detail. Capacity, contribution, compounding, and stewardship. are the mountains. And these may not be all the mountains. These are just the mountains that I've climbed. And God just keeps to put mountains in front of me. After you get to the top of one, there's a new one. And you get to learn some more stuff. And so that's a blessing. I like being able to try to figure out how to climb the next mountain. But we're going to talk through all of these. And my goal is for you to understand where you're at and what's that one thing you need to do to get to the next, to get to that top of that mountain. And so every mountain depends on a different version of you. You cannot climb the next mountain as the person who climbed the last one. Let that sit for a second. Very true. And so as you go through these seasons, you are not the same person. That person has evolved. You are someone different climbing a new mountain. And so that's the reason why this is sometimes challenging is it's a different version of you. Can't even see the next mountain. You're in the valley. You're down here in the valley, you can't see what that next mountain even looks like. It's a different version of you. And so this is what it looks like. So the mountain is the earliest unresolved constraint. Because this comes from a book called The Theory of Constraints. It's called, it's not called that actually. It's by Elijah Goldratt. Has anybody read that book, The Goal? Okay, fascinating book. I paid a lot of mentors a lot of money. 3 of my best mentors told me to read this book called The Goal. And I was like, my story was like, I got lots of goals. I think I got that figured out. It was very small print. There's no pictures. It sat on my shelf for a decade, okay? And I never read it. And I should have, because it literally is everything I needed to know that would have made those mountains climbs a lot easier was in that book. And we'll talk there. The theory of constraints is just understanding. We're going to get to it. There's a story that I want to tell to illustrate it, but we'll talk through possibility. So I cannot yet see a credible, repeatable path. If you don't know what you need to do to get to the top of your mountain currently, then you're in the possible. You need a repeatable path. Something that you see somebody has done. This is real simple, guys. I used to call it copycatting. Jay Abraham was one of my best mentors. He hates it. Because me and Mike Reese used to be like, hey, copycatter number 1, this is copycatter number 2. Over, you read me? He's like, I got a good one for you here. You got to check this out. And we literally would fly around and just find these people that were having success and try to learn from them and then go back and just do what they did. We weren't doing anything spectacular. Somebody has already done what you're trying to do. Nothing that we're doing here is new. Somebody's already done it. It was just finding who those people were. And if possibility, you have to look at that as, okay, they have learned something. Maybe I haven't. Wonder what it is. Okay, so I can see it, but I cannot produce it consistently. So if you know you're on a path and it's just not consistent, then you may be on capability mountain, right? Does that make sense? You can see, I know that if I do this, it will work. I just haven't figured out how to do it consistently. I can produce it, but it depends too heavily on me. Capacity. This happens when you're really busy and you're not getting to the goal. You're working really, really, really hard. And it's depending heavily on you, but you're not letting go of things. You're not getting leverage, capacity. By the way, I crashed on all these mountains. So we'll talk about that too. My next growth comes through expanding others. That's contribution mountain. So these are a lot more fun mountains. You may be on those, and you're going to have a little bit of contribution in whatever mountain you're on. But this is another mountain that you're going to try to climb at some point. The value resets when I stop working. Now, that was a mountain. Unfortunately, this mountain I was on for way too long. Most everything that I did, if I stopped doing what I was doing, everything else stopped eventually too. And so then that last one is, I have more opportunities than meaningful time. And this is the current mountain that I'm climbing, and I'm learning a lot on this mountain. So, all right, so possibility. So here's the lie. I need the confidence before I begin. Those people have something I don't. The truth is, you do not need to believe you're exceptional. You need credible evidence that the result is learnable, okay? You need credible evidence that the result is learnable. So the question you ask yourself, what can I no longer honestly call impossible? Think about that. What can I no longer honestly call impossible? Is it lead generation? Is it conversion? Is there something in the process that you can say, this is actually doable? I see that people are doing it and I'm not, and I can't lie to myself anymore, but what can I honestly say that this isn't impossible? Would most of you say that what you're trying to accomplish right now is like, this is probably possible? That you could do it, right? There's just something you have to learn. And so find repeatable proof, see the process, run one small test. And I'm not going to get too detailed into this because this is really where I'm going to be able to help you guys today. Is the problem that we all had in trying to figure this out was there was no one person you could go to that had the answer. There was a bunch of people that had different ways that they did it, and there was a million ways to do it. And so you typically would die of indigestion, not of starvation in this business. Like too many ideas, not really able to distill what is the one thing that you should do, and then you're doing all of these things, and it becomes overwhelming, and you just give up. And so I'm going to solve this last piece for you today, if this is the mountain that you're on. So this is the story I would have told, a couple of the stories I would have told a little bit earlier, but I remember. So I was mowing yards. Before I got into real estate, I was mowing yards. Not a great career from my perspective at the time. My dad was letting me mow the yards that were rental properties, that usually the grass was this tall, and the people moved out and didn't pay. And I remember I had to hop this fence because somebody locked the gate, and it's in this neighborhood that's not safe, and it's early in the morning, like 6 o'clock, and I'm weed eating down this tall grass, and I'm just like, and I hit the biggest pile of dog shit you could possibly imagine. And I'm just like, and I mean, I'll never forget. I was like, this sucks. And so I don't remember how long it was to this next moment that I do remember, but I was in my dad's office and I was getting my check and it was like $400. And this guy, Rusty Williams, that sold real estate. So when I grew up, my dad owned a property management company, but he didn't really sell. So I didn't see him going on listing appointments or working with clients or anything like that. And then right as I graduated high school, he bought this Coldwell Banker with a bunch of agents. And Rusty he did not have dog shit on his teeth, and he was getting a check, and his check was $3,500. And so again, I didn't have big goals at that point. I was like, $30,000 seemed good to me. I was like, Rusty didn't get no shit on his face, and he don't look like he's done anything today. Like, to be honest, it looked like whatever he did to get that check was probably doable. Now, it's a really important point. For some reason, I didn't look at Rusty and go, man, he must just be better than me. He did have a suit on, or whatever, but I didn't assume that whatever he had done was not doable. I assumed it was doable. And that was the reason I got into real estate. And not long after that, realizing that I still hadn't sold a house in the first almost 6 months, that I'm still trying to figure it out. I ended up buying a ticket to a Craig Proctor event. And this might have been a couple years in. I was still trying to learn, but I'm sitting next to this guy. They're selling coaching. It was $12,000. It was a blue pamphlet. I'll never forget it. And $12,000, and I'm looking at this guy, Steve Garton, that I met there from Florida, and I'm like, $12,000? Are you out of your mind? Like, what is it? Is that Canadian? What are we talking about? This is insane. And I'm not kidding. Like, there's no way in the world I could afford it. Was going to buy it. No way in the world. The guy on the other side of me never said a word to me the whole time, and people go up to the mic and just like do little testimonials or whatever. It was all part of their pitch thing, really. But this guy gets up, goes to the mic, and he's like, "Yeah, I just want to say, I got into coaching 3 years ago. Last year I sold 412 houses." I'm like, "Wait a minute, what are you talking about?" This to me was. It was not even on the realm of possibility. Like, I didn't even know if the company had sold that many houses in a year. Like, it just blew my mind. And I looked at him and I was like, what the hell? How did you do that? I was like, I didn't look at him and say, well, he must be special. It must be his market or whatever. I was like, he knows something I don't know. But he gave credit to the coaching. So I immediately get up, go to the back of the room, and I said, listen, I've got 2 credit cards. They're both almost maxed out. I don't even know if you can't get it on one or the other, you're going to have to split it. But hang on to both. There wasn't a place for 2 credit cards on the form, right? So I had to write another one on there, and I said, we're gonna do this. Figure it out every month. We'll see how it works. I hope this works. Like, literally bet the farm on this. And so I just looked at people as that if they're doing it, he's a human. I'm a human. It's got to be doable. Like, that's the truth. There's nobody in here that's special or more gifted or more talented. They just figured something out. They learned something you haven't learned yet. And that's the real secret. And that was a gift. I don't know part of how I was given this gift is, I'll share with you in a minute. This was probably one of the biggest lessons that changed how I interpreted failure along the way. Because I failed a lot. Okay. Nothing works right out of the gate. I couldn't have told you everything that I tried didn't work, right? Most of it. And so He has something that I don't, and this is the verdict. If you're looking at it from that standpoint, he has something I don't. He's special, lucky, connected, has more money than me, naturally talented. His success proves my limitation. And hey, don't blame me for it saying he on everything, because this was ChatGPT. I have no idea why I did that. Could be her. So know something I don't. So they know something I don't. Process skills, reps, feedback. Probably has a guide. Who taught him? That's what I saw. He said that Craig taught him how to do that, and I went and paid Craig. So his success reveals what I can learn. So how possibility transfers. So relatable proof. Someone close enough to your reality that you cannot dismiss the result. I just looked at him as like, he didn't look special. Like, he sold 412 houses. He was definitely special. But I didn't look at him as special. I was like, okay, this dude could do it. I guess I could try to figure it out. All right. Visible process. You can see the behavior, sequence, and struggle, not just the trophy. They don't show you the part. They don't tell you got to go through a bunch of no's to get to a yes. So that's important to understand. You have to have a realistic understanding of what success looks like. If I generated everybody in this room 100 leads and you spoke to 30 people that wanted to buy or sell in the next 90 days and were open to doing business with you, how many of you think you would sell a house? Yeah, most of you would sell a house. Most of you are really good when you have somebody that needs your help and is actually motivated, wants to buy or sell, and I connected you to them at that point. You're probably going to have some success. I have a lot of agents that get started. I had a guy that told me, he's like, man, this is going to go really well into the story. It resonated with me because I did this with the coach that I hired. And I'm going to tell a story. It's out of order. Okay, so here's what happened. So I hired Frank DeMarinis, was my coach. I get the leads. I'm calling them. I'm trying to do it. It's like I bet everything I had. My credit cards are maxed out. Like this had to work. So like I'm calling the leads, pin this up on the wall. I'm making these calls. I get on the coaching call and I'm like, Frank, this script isn't working. These leads are I said something along those lines. Frank goes, he's like, you're not following the script. I said, yes, I am. He said, record your calls. And they had shipped me this little tape recorder thing that plugged into your landline phone and it would record the calls. And so I did. And then we played it the next week. And I said, see, I told you, I followed the script. He said, play it again. He said, you changed this word and this word. Follow the damn script. We'll talk next week. And I was like, what? The craziest thing happened. The next week, I did exactly what Frank told me to do. And I start setting appointments. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am so stupid. I was going to quit because I didn't want the next thing to hit my credit card. We're like in week 2, week 3. I'm like, I'm trying to find a way out of this. I'm trying to find this doesn't work, man. These leads suck. The script sucks. And, I'm trying to find a reason to quit. And I didn't realize I was in the struggle. And that was the gift that I was given was that, man, you dummy, you just got to be a better copycatter, right? And that was my takeaway. And it lived with me forever. I'm like, me and Mike, copycatter number 1, copycatter number 2. And it's modeling success, guys. Like that's the principle behind this is just really, truly modeling success. And every once in a while I'll have somebody that says something that we teach them doesn't work. And so this guy calls me and he's like, this was an interesting one because it was there was some truth to what he was saying. He's like, every person I called speaks a different language. And I was like, probably not, but maybe. Okay, so he's in Miami. So like there's a chance that this might be true. And so very, depending on what house you're marketing, Miami's, you got a lot of different places where you might be just getting all one particular, diversity there is pretty interesting. So I said, well, let's go through your leads and see how many you called. He talked to 3 leads and out of 100. And then he stopped paying attention, stopped following the process, stopped calling people back. And he said it didn't work. And that's not true, right? And so the truth was he wasn't willing to give the test enough time to truly evaluate if something worked or didn't work. Does that make sense? And so sometimes we give up on it for good reasons maybe. Like I really didn't have room on my credit card, so like it would be easier for me for this not to work, but I really needed it to work. And so that lesson stuck with me for a long time. And so all right, so once that happens, by the way, so the first action that's small enough to run this complete test honestly, I think sometimes we don't necessarily understand, hey, I need to give this X amount of time before I say it doesn't work, right? And so if you have 30 this is reps. Tom Daves sent me a text yesterday. Everybody know Tom Daves? Okay. Number 1 in the world, complete animal. Absolutely something that could be learned from him. He might be special. He is an animal. But absolutely, he's putting in the reps. And so, if you don't put in the reps, you're not going to have a good enough test to say this is working or not working. And most of the time, I will tell you, for me, it's something I was missing. It was something that I was doing wrong. It's real easy to just say, hey, that doesn't work. It's a lot easier to blame it on something else, but that's your interpretation of while you're going through the struggle. If you can switch that to what am I missing, where am I wrong, and be a better student, you will find the answer is usually you are the problem, okay? So that's what it was for me. And so, again, once you have that experience, you go from this borrowed belief that this is possible to you can no longer ignore that it's possible. Now you see it, and your confidence goes through the roof. And it happened to me a couple different ways. And calling physicals, I tried everything. And interestingly enough, I called this one for sale by owner. They ended up listing with me. I was competing against Pam Marion, who was the number one agent in the market, and they listed with me. And I was so shocked that they listed with me because nobody had ever done that. And I called them and I said, "Why did you list with me?" They're like, "To learn." I wanted to learn why. What did I do? I did something right. I'd like to know what that was so I could do it again. And I'm just interesting like that. I want to know why. If they said no, I call it an autopsy. If I would lose a listing, I'd call and find out why. And if I won, I wanted to know what I did so I could do it again. And they told me, they were like, "You were just really enthusiastic." I was like, that was easy. I was like, basically, like Brent says, I'm ignorance on fire. And that was enough for me to win that listing. I never forgot that. Enthusiasm was the reason that particular client listed with me. And so, but again, at that point, I was like, these for sale by owners are mine now. One, everyone else said no, and finally someone said yes, and I could no longer ignore that was opportunity, right? And so it's fascinating, right? But that's, again, it's looking at what am I missing? Am I following the process? Am I following the process I'm being taught, or am I not, right? And so your future isn't hidden from you because you lack talent. It's hidden because you haven't yet become the person who can see it, right? Okay, so I wasn't the smarter kid. See, that's what I was saying. This was, I opened with this one, but I always said next to him, this was where I learned is that there's somebody out there that has done this and they are teaching it, and I'm going to find whoever that is. I will pay them whatever it costs, and I'm going to be a really good student, because I wasn't ever a really good student. I was not a good student. This was an evolution of me. This was me becoming who I needed to become to climb that first mountain. Does that make sense? So evidence only transforms the coachable. You have to be coachable. And Mike Reese is my business partner in Dallas. Mike got in the business. I helped coach him up to $1 million in GCI in 3 years, where it had taken me 6 years to do that. We were so blown away I didn't know what I had done to be successful. He's like, what did you do to be successful? I was like, dude, I don't know. I did a lot of things that did not work. I couldn't even begin to tell him how to begin. But because he was starting day one, I was like, dude, you got to get this website. I'm generating 300 leads a month with this website. He had that before he even had his real estate license. And so Mike's, don't hire that person. No, don't make that mistake. Nope, don't buy that. Then he didn't listen, bought grocery carts, his brand on grocery carts in a grocery store. Didn't work. So you still make mistakes along the way. You don't listen sometimes. But Mike was able to do it a lot faster. And so we started to say, hey, there is actually a process that if you do the right things in the right order, your business grows and grows and grows without making all the mistakes. Most of us making a lot of mistakes every once in a while something works, and you get stuck somewhere along the way, or you get overwhelmed and you want to give up. So we want to avoid that by following a good guide up the mountain. So this is the human unlock flywheel. So first you have to have awareness that it could be better. If you've never seen it, like I had never seen that guy doing 400 deals, I would have never thought that was possible until I saw it. And I was like, it's doable. Like, I don't know how the world, it didn't even matter. It just didn't make sense to me. But I was like, okay, it is doable. So you got to see it first. Okay, that's a small print. I'm going to have to look back here. All right, so first is see it, believable proof. Seek, find the guide. This is what happens. Anything you want to change anything in your life, it starts with, first of all, you have to have the awareness you could be better. Everybody agree with that? That anything you ever wanted to change, you had to at some point have the awareness that it was possible. Then what happens is you have to have the desire to want to change. Would you agree with that? Sometimes we don't have the desire to want to change. Sometimes the desire is there. That's the part I can't create. You have to have the desire to want to change. Immediately after desire is seeking. Think about it. Anytime you wanted to change something, what do? You go to ChatGPT, you Google it, you order a book, you're trying to find, there's got to be a way, I got to lose weight. Now, you got to be willing to receive it. Like, don't like that strategy, don't like that strategy, but you got to be willing to receive it. But it starts with seeking. And so once you have a desire to want to do something, you have to see that it's possible, and then you start seeking. And then you have to execute. Run the method. What is this thing, the test that I'm going to run, and execute the method. So reflect, turn results into learning. You have to look at what you did. I thought I was saying the script. I believed it, okay, to a point I argued with him about it. And I even recorded it and listened to it with him and still thought, I argued with my wife this morning in Starbucks about whether I got the flu last year or not. And I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. But in my mind, I believed it, right? And so, sometimes you think, man, I did it exactly like I'm supposed to. The truth is you probably didn't. And I'm telling you, that is the gift. You got to look and say, hey, what am I missing? Where am I wrong? What am I not doing? Because that's where the unlock is, right? And so expand larger possibility. And that's the unlock. Follow a trusted guide and a proven. This is the accelerator. If you're just out there trying to figure it out and nobody's giving you a plan that seems sensible that you've seen someone else do, you're winging it, okay? You need a trusted guide with a proven path. What kills us, what slows us down, the break is ego, blame, and inconsistency. Ego gets in the way. We all have it. Ego gets in the way. Blame, there's a reason why this happens. It's not my fault. But this is the unlock method. Because once you have the evidence of success, now it's no longer borrowed belief, and now you own that. You know it's possible. And that's what pushes you through and gets you up the mountain. You can't deny it. You know it's possible. I did it once, man. It can be done again. If you get up on that wakeboard one time, you're like, okay, you can do it. How did I do it? Okay, yeah, I did this, a little of that. All right, that's how I did it. So you got to have that. You got to have that first, as quickly as possible as we can get you that first win, that you can't ignore it. That takes over, right? Does that make sense to you? If you don't get that, if I can't get you to that win fast enough, you're going to give up. That's what we all do. And so it's super important to have a process that gets somebody to a win as quickly as possible. All right, so capability. So here's the lie. I need more ideas. I just need more leads. The truth is your business improves when you relieve the constraint limiting to the flow from lead to client. And so this goes back to this book, The Goal, I'll talk about in a moment. And that's Herbie. Herbie is an illustration in this book. So in your business right now, either you have enough people to talk to that want to buy or sell in the next 90 days and are open to doing business to you, or you don't. If you do have enough people to talk to and you're not making contact with them, where is the constraint? Where is the first constraint? Most all of you, it's going to be leads, like most all of you. If you had enough people to talk to, then the constraint might be what you're saying to them, conversion, right? So the earliest constraint is the only thing you have to solve. You solve the first constraint. If I gave you 1,000 leads this morning, your new constraint would be contacting. Does that make sense? It's a lot of people. I got 1,000 of them. I got a hold of 20 today. I called 120. You still didn't get through the 1,000. You got a new constraint in contacting, right? Does that make sense? And so you got to identify the earliest constraint. That's the mountain that you're on right now. So where is Herbie in my lead to client process? Where's the bottleneck? Is it in leads? Is it in contacting? Is it in conversion? Is it in the closing process? Never in the closing process, really. That's usually not where it lands. It's going to be usually in leads, contacting, and conversion. That's where most people live most of their lives, stuck with Herbie's. Herbie's a fat kid. We're going to just talk about him in a minute, but he's a problem. He's a problem. He's a real problem. And it's a bottleneck in your business. So run one complete loop, measure lead, contact, qualified conversation, appointment, and then improve the bottleneck. And so that's capability. That's all we have to solve. We have to identify the first constraint and solve that one problem. If we solve that one problem, we'll have a new problem. Guess what? That's part of climbing the mountain. So this is the illustration. And in this book, The Goal, which is just a story about throughput. So if we generate 1,000 leads, it doesn't mean you got a closing. If we solve a potential bottleneck in your business, it doesn't mean you're not going to have a new bottleneck at the next step. And so leads, contact, qualified conversations, appointments, clients, and closings. The story is there's these Boy Scout troops, and they have a goal to get to their camp, to set up camp before dark. And Herbie is the kid that is, if you put him in, he's slow, he's slowing them down. They're not on pace to get to where they're supposed to go. They're trying to figure out, what do we do with Herbie? If we put him in the back, he just lags behind. If we put him in the middle, that we all get split up. And they came to the conclusion of, let's take some stuff out of his backpack, we'll spread it out, and we'll put Herbie in the front. And that's how they got throughput. Throughput is just getting everybody to the same place at the same time. If you get a whole bunch of leads and you don't make contact with them, that does not mean that you made a sale, right? So you have to solve for throughput, not just leads. And this book, The Theory of Constraints, I've lived this literally in everything that we do. It is absolutely it's a great book, and it's better on Audible because the book is it's great stories, but it's about a factory. It's not even about real estate or anything like that. And about, if you have a product you're selling and they have to go paint this part, and paint takes a certain number of days, and you got a wait station with everybody backed up at paint, you can't deliver. So now you can't sell because you can't deliver on the promise. It all these bottlenecks that cause all these problems in this particular example is about the throughput from the very beginning to the end, the entire process. And so, the 12,000, 2 max out credit cards, I told that story. I think I'm going to change this. ChatGPT got it wrong. I think those stories are better sooner. All right, so minimum viable mastery. So good enough to create evidence, coachable enough to learn from it. You just need to have enough reps to say, hey man, I gave this a fair shot. I looked at what I did I follow the process, and now I either got a result or I didn't. And if you have that success, I don't have to call you and check in. You know you can do this, right? All right, capacity. So this is the next mountain. And some of you may be on this mountain right now. So I just need to work harder. No one can do it as well as I can. Anybody? Anybody suck at delegating? Okay. So I stayed on this mountain for a minute. All right. So more effort cannot solve a dependency problem. Only I can do it often means I have not built a process yet, right? So I find myself saying this sometimes. A lot of people, probably a lot of you do too as well. Is like, listen, nobody can do that as good as I do that, right? Be like, I need to be the one doing this. Now, the truth is, if you do something very, 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 very well, that should be a process to what it is that you're actually doing that can be distilled down and taught to someone else. And if it's low dollar value work and it frees you up to do high dollar value work, you will learn that can come off your plate. And what you'll actually learn is there are people out there that could probably do it better than you. That's the truth. Yeah, but we get stuck at this on capacity mountain because this is where how many of you have worked 12-hour days in this business, right? Okay, this is a capacity problem. Okay, if you're living here, that this doesn't get better until this is the lesson I learned at 367. I learned it before this, but I didn't know what I was learning. At 367 transactions and I didn't grow the next year, I was like, what the hell happened? Everything that I was doing, I got some things off my plate. And here's what you'll tell yourself. I'm not good at hiring. I'm not good at managing people. I'm not good at all of those things. Anybody ever said that? So your first hire, if you make your first hire and you're like, I should not be hiring people, right? Like you hired I don't know I didn't even know what roles, responsibilities. I don't even think I made them sign anything. I don't even know how they got paid. Like, I was just like, I need some help. You want help? All right, come on. Like, that's my process for hiring in the beginning. And so that's not a good process. Now, does that mean that I can't do it? No, I got to, you know what happens? Like, that person quits, and then what happens? That stuff all comes back on your plate, and you're like, man, I should just do it. It's easier for me to do it. I'll just do it myself, right? That's what happens. No. You haven't become the person you need to become to climb this mountain. In order for you to climb this mountain, you have to become a better steward of your own time before you could ever teach someone else to be a good steward of their time. It is a massive change to who you have to become on this mountain. So where am I Herbie? You usually become the Herbie in this example because you can't do it all. You move one repeatable outcome from me to process plus person and maintain the standard. And so if you start asking yourself, well, what's the standard to what success looks like when I do this? Have somebody look over your shoulder and just record what you're doing. Throw that into ChatGPT, create SOP, and now you can hire someone to do that. You can get it off your plate, and they'll do it as good as you. Or you can measure it and fire them and hire someone that can, right? So these things, you got to get things off your plate. And I just didn't know what things needed to come off my plate. So I was like, I hate doing this. I suck at that. This doesn't even feel like I should be doing it. And I hired people to do all that stuff. That actually is not a bad strategy. Like, I enjoyed the things I did better because I didn't do anything I didn't like. And if I sucked at it, I probably should have been doing it anyways. So the first 4 or 5 hires, the year I did 233 transactions was with 4 staff, 2 transaction coordinators, listing coordinator, and then like a secretary, the catch-all kind of a position. And I hired 3 agents at the end of that year, so I did about 200 transactions myself. Man, I was out in the field all day, every single day, doing deals, nothing else. Like, throw it over the fence, and they did the rest. And so it was super productive. And so if you're stuck, you might, on this mountain, it's probably something you just haven't learned yet about how to get things off your plate so you can do more of the higher productivity activities. All right, so this was where I hit that wall and realized, okay, I got to get better at this. And what happened was I had my listing coordinator, Sandra Selfwood. Once I started thinking about this, I was like, I wonder what she's doing today. Like, this person was a different animal. She literally, all my listings are the name of the game. I took a lot of pride in taking care of my clients. I felt like I did a really good job. Sandra was not answering the phone or emails, and she had 27 voicemails from my sellers that she just deleted them. So I didn't even have evidence that she was not, I didn't have a way to measure, hey, how fast are you getting back to our clients? I didn't even know what she wasn't doing. Finally, I started hearing enough from people pissed off. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, what do you do all day? Like, what's happening? She always had a good excuse, and that went on for a while. And I realized that, okay, I'm not good at hiring. I'm not good at managing. If I don't do it, I'm going to ruin my reputation, like my whole reputation down the drain. Not acceptable. And so it forced me to become who I had to become to climb that mountain. Does that make sense? All right. So lighten the pack. We'll give you all these slides so you'll have everything. But this used to be called the 9 box, but we kind of changed it up a little bit here. But it's about doing the higher productive activities, getting things. You'll never make $1 million a year doing $10 an hour work. It doesn't mean $10 an hour work isn't. Here's a simple rule. This is a writer downer. If you don't change the outcome, you shouldn't be doing it. Evaluate everything that you're doing, and you'll lie to yourself and say that you change the outcome sometimes. But most of the time, if you don't change the outcome, it shouldn't be on your plate. Does that make sense? How many things are you doing right now that you really don't change the outcome? You could train somebody. There might be somebody better that could be doing it. And those things need to come off your plate. And it frees up more time for you to do the thing. I promise you this. When you have this first win and you know something works, you're like, I could do more of that. I can generate you $3 a lead. At $3 a lead, I can generate as many leads as you want. Any marketplace in the country. Every single one of you. I can get you more leads. When you have that first success, and you're like, this shit works, you're going to be like, what? Well, if you close one deal on a $300 ad spend, is that a good return on investment? Yeah. Would you trade, what's your average commission here? 10, 14? Let's use 10. So do 1 deal a month, that's 120,000. 2 deals a month, almost $250,000. Would you spend $300 to make $250,000? Okay, we all would, right? Hopefully. If the answer is no, we got a different class we're going to do after this, okay? Like, or you could pay Zillow. You're not in control of it. You want to pay Zillow? Everybody like paying Zillow 41% or whatever the hell they're charging now? And they could take it away. They play that game for as long as they've been around. Yeah, you get these leads. Nope, we're giving them to them now, and you get these shitty leads in this zip code over here. Like, you're not in control of that. You want to have your own system that you control. That way, when you have success and you get real busy, this is what happens to most agents we help. Some of y'all know or are using Funnel Pilot or just getting started with it. You're going to experience this. About 3 months in at 100 leads, you're going, man, I'm out showing houses. I'm doing this. I took a listing. I'm turning this thing off. I'm too busy. And they turned off the oxygen to the room instead of looking at what am I doing that I can be more efficient with my time. And if you can get this off your plate, you could go sell another 2 houses a month. And once you start thinking that way, instead of I'm too busy, turn off the gold, the money printing machine, you start making a lot more money. Make sense? All right, so you'll never make $1 million a year doing $10 an hour work. The wage question, simply asking what that person costs. What is it going to cost for me to hire this person? Really, it's a return question. What throughput does this create for me? Is it going to allow me to get in contact with more leads, make more sales? If it frees you up, then it's a good investment. You're getting a return on that labor. I used to have a hard time with that. Every hire I made, I was like, I can't imagine paying somebody this amount of money every month. You don't think you have to pay them for a year. It's a test. I'm gonna hire you. We're gonna look at it and we're gonna evaluate in 90 days. That's your commitment. 3 monthly payments of whatever you're paying that person. That's what your investment is, and then you can decide if you want to keep moving forward with that person or not. And so, super important if you're working 12, 14-hour days and you're not getting to business, this is where you're at, and this is the mountain that you're trying to climb right now, right? So, all right, so this is, I got a lot more stories about this kind of, who's in business in 08? We were talking in the back of the room about this. All right, so the rest of y'all, consider yourselves lucky, okay? There's nothing that's harder that I've ever been through in my life. This was the most challenging thing I've ever been through by far. I didn't like to talk about it for a number of years. I couldn't talk about it. I was like, oh, we don't want to talk about that. You don't want to talk about that. I got kicked in the teeth. It took me, I built 6, and this is when I first met Amber, bless her heart. I didn't have this story as part of the story until I just looked at her face. So Amber gets with me when I look to be really successful, but I'm really broke, okay? And so I'm selling a bunch of real estate. Nothing is going well. My rentals, this is how bad it was. So I had started KINDER coaching. I'm coaching agents, teaching them how to do what we're doing. The market's tanking. I'm losing money in real estate. My right-hand guy, my operations guy that runs my real estate business, my top 3 agents, my listing coordinator, and 1 other employee, along with my business partner that I did flips, developments, we actually built houses, all of this. They all leave together to go start their own company in 2007. At the same time that I'm writing checks to KINDER to get that going, because I believed that was my passion and I wanted to help agents. So me and Mike are writing checks to that company. Not at the same time, we find out that the guy that's in accounting at KINDER has not been paying payroll tax. I didn't even know this was possible. I didn't even know you could choose. I'm like, how the fuck did he not pay that? And so we got a loan from the IRS. And so we get a letter. This all happens in the same year. So I've got IRS breathing down my neck. I'm writing checks over here that I don't have. My rentals are now, because we split up all the properties, I had all these flips lined up that I was making a little bit of money on, and then now they're upside down, and I can't sell them, so I had to turn them into rentals. Now I'm writing checks to, I had 28 rentals. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. This is how I'm getting financially free, right? And I'm writing checks every month to the rental department and to these rentals, and Amber was managing that. She was a sweetheart to take care of that. Don't even show me what the hell's happening. I don't even want to know. It's didn't want to know. I've got debt accumulating. I've got to pay that. All of this is happening at the same time, and I'm like, boy, I really don't know shit, do I? I thought I spent the last 10 years setting myself up for freedom. I was coming. I was on my way. Hell no, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You are starting over. So I'm laying in bed. This was on 6 Pleasant View. I'm laying in bed. I was like an ostrich with my head in the sand. I did not want to do this. And I finally pulled out the spreadsheet, and I said, I'm going to add it up, the damages, and see where we're at. And I was $640,000 in bad debt, every credit card maxed out, to the point that I still don't do business with Chase Bank over this. And if Chase, if you're watching this, okay, so seriously, I'm not kidding. This is how bad it was. We tried to buy a washer and dryer, and it was at Sears, and they were offering the 0 financing, and I didn't qualify for it. You know how humiliating that is? Okay, you ever go into the grocery store and try to run your debit card, and it actually should have worked back then. Like sometimes it just didn't, and then they're looking at you, and you're like, bitch, I know there's at least $30 in there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way I was living. Okay, and I'm so pissed off. Like I do never ever want to be here again. But I'm in the heat. I'm in the thick of it. And so what was I just saying? What was the story I was telling? So I added all. What was I saying? Oh, Chase. Yes, let me finish that one. So I'm the only thing I know that works. The only thing I know that works is, man, if I got enough leads, we make enough calls, we get enough appointments, we sell something, and this is the time was Tiger Leads back in the day. And when I would pay $1,200 for the platform and then a little bit more for the leads, I had to keep that going. It was the only thing I saw that I could get out. They would send me a letter immediately dropping my amount that I could charge on that credit card by the amount that I paid in. Every time. And I was like, oh, you sons of bitches. Like, are y'all trying to kill me? Like, this is hard enough as it is. Like, I need that room to try to grow the business. And so, yeah, this was the fun times, right? Yeah, it's, so anybody that tells you that success is some straight line, it ain't. Man, you want to talk about the person I had to become during this time? It was the best thing that ever happened to me. None of these other mountains that I've ever climbed would have been possible had I not gone through it. Did not enjoy it at all, but it was necessary for me to become who I had to become to be able to get to the top of the next mountain. And so this was, it was absolutely the hardest thing I've ever been through. But the price of the new mountain is becoming a beginner again. I had to start over. Everything let me tell you the other thing that's not in Rich Dad Poor Dad. Has anybody read Rich Dad Poor Dad? Just so you know, what's not in that book. They do not tell you about 07, 08. They do not tell you about timing. Okay, you do not control timing. You bought real estate at the right time, you might get rich. You bought it at the wrong time, you might be broke. And that's just what happened for me. And so it's not saying it's a good or bad strategy, but there is something you don't control, and you don't control the first 10 years of when you bought a property. Did you buy it at the top of the market or the bottom of the market? And so literally sold all those properties, and I had basically started over. 10 years of climbing the ladder just to start over again. We're like, okay, I don't want to do that again. So I must not have been a very good student somewhere. What am I missing? Right? That's the mindset. It's not woe is me. It's not woe is me. It's like I skipped a chapter somewhere. I missed something somewhere. What am I learning? Right? You're always learning. Contributions to the next mountain. Helping. So this is the lie. Helping means giving more advice. I have to save everyone. What have you learned? So the truth is, what you have learned gains meaning when it becomes a path that shortens someone else's struggle, right? When you know how to do something, I just genuinely liked when people like Brent would fly to my office. So I was like, dude, this shit is really hard, dude. Come down anytime. I will show you anything I got. Like, if you're going through the things that I've gone through, you definitely should come see what we're doing, right? That was contribution. How can what I have learned become a path someone else can follow? And this didn't happen for me naturally. It's like, I want to help people. I'm still, banging into the wall, climbing a mountain, learning a new lesson. And along the way, Mike gets in the business, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, you did it way better than I did. This is doable. And there was some evidence that we could help people. It's like, that's a lot of fun, man. It was fun helping Mike. And then we'd help someone else. It's like, this feels good. I like the way this feels, helping people. And so, how could we turn this into a process that we could teach? That's when we got into coaching in 05, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all through those years, while still getting kicked in the ding in 07 and 08 and starting over. But I loved helping people. That was what I felt contribution. If I could help you not have to go through these things I went through, that was contribution. I felt like this was the mountain that I was climbing. And so codify one lesson into a process another person can use without depending on you. Right? So as you go, for those of you that haven't applied or going through that process, there is an absolute process that we are teaching you to follow. Whether you follow it or not, it's going to be determined, and how you interpret your results is going to be whether or not if you're going to see this as a win, or you're going to say it doesn't work, like I used to say. And so, that's super important. And again, some of you may be on some of these mountains, on some of these later mountains, but I think it's important. I'm going to illustrate it because there's actually the only reason I'm here is this last mountain, as we're going to get to in a minute. So ambition got me moving. Mastery made me capable. Purpose showed me what that capability was for. Right? How powerful is that? I didn't know this. You think I knew this when I got in the business? Heck no, man. I was just trying to figure it out like everybody else. And so when I was asked to talk about purpose, man, that purpose was developed. I had enough ambition to start. Mastery is what made me capable. And then purpose showed me what that capability was for. Does that make sense? So if you have you're struggling with what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I had no idea what my purpose was. So be okay with not knowing exactly what your purpose is. I don't think that's going to be developed until you have the capability to help others and contribute. Does that make sense? Okay. For me, that's true. And again, take everything, I say and, cut it, this is my perspective and my experience and my reality. And it may not be your reality, and that's okay. So that just know that, I'm giving you everything that I know that I've went through and tried to codify this to where you can understand where you're at and how to get through where you're trying to get to. So strategy of preeminence. What are we down? We got about 40 minutes. Okay, all right. What slide number is this?
Well, I had to add some at the beginning, so you're about 6 away from your video.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we might play it. Go ahead and play it. It's not a good version of me, but it's from 2005. We didn't have a lot of videos back then, thankfully. So strategy of preeminence. This happened to me when I went to Jay Abraham. Jay Abraham was one of my many mentors, but by far the most impactful. He never gives you the answer. He makes you figure it out yourself, but he gives you the way to think about things. And the strategy of preeminence was just about adding value. And so I fly to this event Jay Abraham has, and I take John Kitchens with me. And I'm like, we're going to this thing. I don't even know what we're going to learn. We're the only real estate agents in the room. It was $5,000 a ticket, probably one of the more expensive tickets that I bought to an event. We're in there not more than 5 minutes, and he's like, how many of you have ever got a referral? And everybody's hand goes up. These are all different, no real estate, just other industries and people all from all over. Everybody raised their hand. And he's like, how many of you have one system in place that consistently generates referrals? 2 systems, 3 systems, 4 systems. Everybody's hands are down. We're like, no, I don't have one system. Like, I get referrals, but like, I don't have no systems. So he kind of blew my mind. He said, I want you to think about something. He said, think about, and I want you to do the same thing. Because, everybody's going to think of somebody, probably, I hope. We'll see what you come up with. So think of somebody that you are a raving fan of their business, that you do business with. It could be anything. It could be a clothier that you go to, or it could be even a gas station. It could be whatever. Like, think of somebody like, man, this is where I always go for that. Man, you guys got to go here because of the person. Think about if you're a raving fan of somebody, you give them their name. Stop people when they're talking about it. Say, man, you got to call this person. If there's anybody that you've ever had. So this is what Jay Abraham asked me to do. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, Shannon Brown. This guy sold me a Hummer in 2003. This is a few years after that. And normally I couldn't tell you the name of a car salesman that sold me any vehicle ever, because you never hear from him again. So oddly enough, I'm thinking about, dude, why am I such a fan of this Shannon Brown guy? Like, and so I started trying to unpack what happened. And so normal experience, 2003, I bought a new Hummer, went down there, spent all this time in the dealership, was not a great process. I'm thinking through the process. I'm like, I don't even know why I like this guy. Like, it wasn't that great of an experience. But I would stop people in the restaurant that would be talking about a Hummer. I'm like, dude, you need to call Shannon Brown, man. Here's his number. He's at Bob Moore in Oklahoma City. And I did it a number of times. I referred him 13 people that bought vehicles from him. And so that's not normal behavior. I was a raving fan, right? And so, but here's what he did. And this will apply to all of you in your business immediately, okay? After I bought the vehicle, the next day I get a phone call. Don't know who it is. It's a 405 number, which means I know it wasn't somebody in Lawton. And so I answered. He's like, hey, Jay Kinder, Shannon Brown, Bob Moore Hummer. Just want to call and check in with you. I was like, what did I got to go back up there and sign something else or whatever? He's like, no, man, I'm just checking in. Just want to see how did you got home safe last night? Everything good? Do you have any questions? Anything I can help you with? I was like, no, I'm good, man. All right, cool. Didn't think nothing of it. A week goes by. Phone rings again. It's a 405 number. I don't think nothing of it. Answer it, because we had to answer our phones back then. I don't know, but real estate agents don't answer their phones. Like back then, you had to answer it. And so, hey, Jay Kinder, Shannon Brown, Bob Moore Hummer, how you doing? I was like, I'm good, man. He's like, hey, just wanted to let you know. You talked about getting some aftermarket parts and stuff. We've got the aftermarkets, parts department. Before you go in there, come see me and I'll get you a discount on anything that you're going to buy. So don't just go in there and buy anything if you're going to spend money on it. I just wanted to let you know you talked about it, and I just wanted to make sure you know that. Come to me first and I'll make sure I can get you a discount. I was like, cool, man. It's like, save number and phone, right? And so another week goes by. Now Shannon Brown's calling. What's up, Shannon? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm a lot more friendly with him. He's like, hey, man, you've been taking that thing off road. How do your kids like the TVs? He's making it relevant to me in real estate. Have you been showing property? Like, he remembers me, this, that, and the other. This guy, by the way, was the number 1 sales guy in the entire company for GM at the time. And he had a surfboard in his office. And that's how I knew that. And so he was, there was evidence of this guy was successful. I had no idea I didn't know there was a lesson to be learned here. I just ended up becoming a raving fan. I was like, this guy's really good. I don't know. Didn't know why. But Jay Abraham's asking me this question. I'm in my hotel room and I'm thinking through this whole process. And I'm like, all he did, so he called me one more time. And that was in week 4. Week 4, he called me 4 times. Now think about this. Every time you close a real estate transaction, if you have a person that does business with you one time, it's worth, let's say, $10,000. If they refer you someone every year and they do business with you every 7 years over a 20-year career, that person is worth, in your database, if you had 100 people, that's the difference in $1 million business and a $20 million business. So every time you go to that closing with that client and you're thinking, man, I got to move on, because we ain't going to see them for a while, right? Like, you're like, finally, that nightmare's over. Next, where's the next one coming from? That's what I was doing. I didn't realize that if I made him a raving fan, truly, like, all Shannon did was call me 4 times, spent maybe 15 minutes with me, but he made me feel special. The process was not a great process. I wasn't ecstatic with any of the whole process of buying that vehicle, yet I became a raving fan of Shannon Brown. Think about this, how much better you could, if you just call him 4 times, try to add value, be relevant, just actually care what could happen to your business, right? So that was this is the first 5 minutes of Jay Abraham. I'm like, this dude blows my mind. And so he teaches this thing, the strategy of preeminence, and it's simply adding the most value you can to someone's life in every situation that you come into. And it's a very simple principle. It's like, if you know somebody should drink 8 ounces of water and they're in the desert, you would give them 8 ounces of water. You wouldn't give them 6, you wouldn't give them 4, you would give them 8, because you know that's what they need. And so it was an interesting philosophy. And this is, I'm on Contribution Mountain, and I'm trying to, this is fascinating. I come back from this event with a million things that blew my mind. And I'm like, man, I'm calling all my vendors. By the way, these events don't happen without vendors. I know how the math works. So just so you know, give them an opportunity to earn your business, okay? Give them an opportunity to earn your business. This stuff doesn't happen. If anything out of this becomes valuable for you, it's partially because they're willing to be here and invest in people coming into town. Otherwise, these events don't make sense to do. So give them an opportunity to earn your business. And I will tell you this, they don't pick vendors just to be here. These are vetted people they do business with, that they know have the same values, and that's why they're here. And so just know that if you have an opportunity, do that. And so my vendors, like I had, my attorney, and I had all these people. I invited them in, and I'm like, I don't even know if I can teach any of this stuff, but I'm like, I'm going to share it all with them and try to help them all. And so I started just adding value, and I really adopted this whole strategy of preeminence. Is how can I add the most? Jeff's Key Shop, they paid to be on our website. I invited him. I was like, Jeff, wouldn't it be cool if you could just mail every house a postcard? The key, who has the keys to your home to every new house that sells? Like, I could pull that up in the MLS and give that to you. If you sent that postcard, I bet you every single person, I know my wife would buy a new lock set if she got that postcard 100% of the time. And so just trying to take the things I was learning and help them. And so, so this was, the strategy of preeminence is truly the lender, the other agent on the other side of your deal, your buyer, your seller. But understand, every time you get to a closing, that represents 4% of the lifetime value of that customer if you make them a raving fan. That's just 4 phone calls you got to make. So implement that one. Is that good? Is that valuable? Right? Okay, cool. There's a lot of deep stuff in here, man. I feel like I need to give you a couple of wins. All right, real contribution does not make people dependent on you. It makes them more capable without you. This was something that we learned in coaching, was people don't stay. I thought coaching was better than real estate when I wiped down the board 57 transactions, and then we started selling coaching, and nobody cancels in the first year. And then, the second year, it's like the money was just getting better. I was like, this residual income is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, way better than selling real estate. And then about 12 months or about 24 months in, what's called attrition kicks in. Okay, has anybody had a business where they understand what attrition is? Anybody have a different business that they understand and measure attrition? It is the only thing that matters, okay, in any business where you have residual income. If you have a customer today, so a lot of people think, and I see this all the time, like, man, I'm going to sell at $67 a month. I'm going to create this course and I'm going to sell it. Be like, you don't know shit about attrition. Okay, let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to keep it on average of 4 months, and you're going to have so much churn that you're not going to be able to sustain, and you're going to eventually stop doing what you're doing. Like we did this. We sold 67, 97. We did all of this stuff, trying to figure this stuff out. But at about 11% attrition, that means at 200 customers, you got 25 that are going to leave you this month. No matter what you do in coaching, they're going to leave you. At some point, nobody pays the same person forever. I didn't. I knew this. Obviously, I paid everybody. I didn't stay with any of them. I vacuumed up as much as I could, went on to the next one. And so at a certain point, now I got to sell 25 just to stay where I was at in the coaching business. We built that up to 10 million in revenue. And but what we taught people to do was to not be dependent on us. If I gave you the tools And you don't need me to coach you. You just need the tools, and you know what questions to ask, and you need to know what your processes are for how you make decisions in your business. You don't need me as a coach. And so that was just, once we learned that and we taught it, we were setting people up to go off on their own. It's not a good business model. It was a lot of contribution. It felt good. It was like, look at them go, selling 600, 800 homes now, not paying us anything. It's like, yeah, but that's the right thing to do, right? And so making people capable without you that was contribution for us. Not a good business model. I want to remind you of that. Compounding. So another mountain. So once we learned that coaching wasn't the way, that wasn't the right model. So I make money, but the calendar keeps resetting me to zero. So more income automatically creates more freedom. You would think at $10 million a year that I must have solved all the problems. And I didn't. And I'm going to play this video in a minute that's super interesting to watch at this stage of my life, because if I'd have listened better, I would have not made a lot of mistakes that he tells me in the video. And I want y'all to listen to what he's saying here in a minute. So more income automatically creates more freedom. That's not true. Income pays you for work completed. Compounding allows prior value to keep contributing down the road. What am I building today? What will still be working for me tomorrow? Build one relationship, a leader, a system, a brand, an income stream that carries value forward. And so imagine you had $10 million invested. So imagine today, everybody in here love real estate. This is a great business, right? Not so much. All right. Just checking. There's days that I liked it and didn't like it at the same time. So imagine if you had 10, and I did this in masterminds with my top clients. We all have this problem. And I said, if you had $10 million in the bank, would you go back to work tomorrow? I want to ask all of y'all. So $10 million in the bank, what I'm saying is at 8%, at an 8% return, that would be $800,000 a year. So if you had $10 million in the bank, you got $800,000 a month, a year coming in, would you go back and sell tomorrow? Are you showing up to work? Truth, just be truthful. How many of you are going to go back because you love it? Okay, a few of you, liars. Okay, so I'm just kidding. So that's really interesting. It doesn't mean that this doesn't mean that you hate real estate. This is the difference. Okay, it means that the model has never allowed you to experience the difference between work you must do and work you would choose to do. Wow, right? So when you get to, I got to choose whether I came here, right? I got to choose. I could have said yes. I could have said no. I said yes because of contributions that had been paid forward by Brent Gove to me, and I would do it for him because of the things he's done for me. Think about how the ripple effect of contribution happens. Brent's done so much for me. Yeah, man, I'll come out here and get, you know where else it aligned? I got to spend time with my wife. And we got to go to Napa Valley, right? And it checks the box of, will I be able to add value to somebody's life, right? It's in alignment with where I'm at and how I make decisions today, right? And so that's a huge distinction. Once you have enough money coming in every single month, you no longer make decisions based on money. You make decisions based on alignment to what should I do this? Do I want to do this? If I don't want to do it, I usually don't do it. And so actually, if I don't want to do it, I don't do it. Like, I just don't. Like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it. And so what would your work have to look like for you to want to come back? And back then, I didn't know anything about EXP. I didn't know anything about revenue share. I was still on another mountain way back here and trying to figure all this stuff out. And I was asking the people in the room, man, how do we make this team thing work, man? This is hard. None of us enjoyed it. We all had built it up, tore it down, built it up, tore it down. It was this continuous challenge of, you could create these great leaders in your business and then they leave you and go off on their own. Okay, so if you have a team, you've ever built a team, it is the hardest thing in the world to manage, and it always needs you, and you can't ever step away. And I was like, man, what would it look like if we loved it? Like, what would we want to come back and do every single day? We never did figure it out, to be honest with you. So your $1 million ain't worth $1 million. So we'll play this video. I might go a little over. I'm going to try not to. I might not actually. But so no, it's going to get better, I promise. But I want you to listen to what Jay Abraham said. So it's so funny hearing it. So I'll let it play it. This is hard for me to let you watch, guys. Like, this is at my prime, 531 homes a year. I'm at a Jay Abraham event, and there's a question. Now, I got a question. How the hell do you do this? Like, I always had questions. And so, is it on the next slide? Okay.
Jay, I want to say I appreciate what you've done as far as the sequential marketing implemented in your own business, because that's exactly why I'm here. I was busy doing it in my business, answering the phone, running around in my office, and I get a cell phone call. And many of you mentioned, I think one of the gentlemen mentioned earlier, and
rambling.
And you were on the phone, and right then and there, I realized the benefit of what you bring to the table. And this is the most comprehensive. I've been in the real estate industry. I've been to every trainer you can imagine. I paid all the big bucks
I don't know what
to
to
go
do
to all
with
the
my
real
hands.
estate trainers and learn as much as I can from my industry. But sitting here and looking at all this material, it's phenomenal. The potential revenue that you have allowed us to
That's gracious.
see.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that. My question is, I'm in a small community, Lawton, Oklahoma, population of about 100,000. I command about 12% market share, and we're trying to grow the business, but we realize that our biggest potential is duplicating this business. Real estate model.
Yep.
That is duplicating this real estate model, if you will, in another
Other
market.
places.
And by moving from an area that's 100,000 average sell price, I can raise my my average unit of sell doubly in another
That's not
market.
even a word.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is what going back, we have a lot of work to do clearly to implement in our business. What is the series of questions you need to answer in order to know you're ready to duplicate or replicate that business
Well, I mean,
in
there's
another
two,
market?
there's two. The first one is if you move yourself out of your current business to concentrate on replicating it either through partners, through new operations, through joint ventures.
Sure.
And I'll tell you something, by the way. If I were you, all these guys I trained, Joe Stumpfen and Brian Buffini and Tom Ferry, half and half, and his dad was already doing it. And Craig Proctor, they all came to my programs before they were teaching anybody, and they went out and did trainings. If I were doing it today, I wouldn't be a trainer and try to teach it that way. I'd joint venture with other agencies so that they had the yoke of the overhead, you had the marketing, and you got a share of the upside, and you had an equity type of an interest, so you had an asset, because their businesses aren't sellable. They make a lot of money, but they're not sellable. My business is very low. It makes me 7 figures, but it's not very sellable, and that's not what you really want. You're young enough to recognize that. But I think the first thing is being clear that if you walk away to concentrate on that, your business isn't going to fall apart. So it's the systems, the process, the procedure, instilling a culture that is enduring and that everybody sort of follows, establishing yourself preemptively in your community. I'm thinking, and I'm sorry we didn't get the book concept really developed. You should have a book written for you and have everybody give it away. Run ads to sell it for $39 so it has perceived value, but gift it away to everybody in the community, and maybe write 3 or 4, because the cost of giving away 5,000 books is $25,000, but 5,000 devotees is probably multiplied by referrals would own the market. But put a system together that seems replicatable, and then go out and again, everyone else is trying to sell training. I wouldn't. I'd sell partnership. I want to be your partner. If you can afford it, tell them that you'll fund your own triple out. You want basically a piece of the upside or a piece of the business. Find somebody who is ambitious, directable, has good values in a market that you can collaborate with. That to me would be a greater wealth creator, because someone will buy that. They aren't going to buy it if you got this great system and you want to do seminars, and so you'll make some money. You might make $1 million, but no one's going to. That $1 million isn't worth $1 million. But if you had 20 or 25 or 125 partners out there, each of them tripling their business, somebody will buy that from you for a lot of money. Does that make sense?
Brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, yeah. There's a lot, and there's a lot of. Every time I watch it, I cringe, because I'm like, you idiot, you didn't even listen, you dummy. So I immediately ended up building a coaching and training company. Okay, just to connect the dots there. All right, this is 05. I didn't listen at all. Yeah. So looking back, it's fascinating, and some of you kind of connected some of those dots. But what did you hear him say? Anybody have anything that stood out that he said? Partnership, right? He's like, that $1 million ain't worth $1 million. He said it so. Your $1 million, you might make $1 million, but your $1 million ain't worth $1 million. We built a coaching company to $10 million. Me and Mike each made $1 million, And our $1 million was only, what all that is saying is that $1 million, nobody's going to buy that business because me and Mike were coaching. So it was only worth the $1 million that we were making each year. It was an income. It was the same thing I did in real estate, and I did the same thing again in coaching, and I didn't listen. And so now, not long after this, we had moved from coaching and to partnership before we came to EXP, and we would partner with you. We had built all those systems, processes, procedures. We duplicated it. We built NAEA, all the systems and processes, everything that you needed. We would come in and we would take your business and we would take you from 10, 15 deals to 70 to 100 deals in the first year. And you gave us 50%. And so guess what happened after a year? After a year, you would come in our office and you'd be like, hey, man, I want to talk about the split we got going on here. I would take you from almost nothing to heights you never would seem possible. You would only go on appointments. We had a call center. We made the calls. We did all your branding, all your marketing, everything that he talked about. We did it. And so, but what was broken in that model was the compensation alignment. Nobody wanted to pay us 50%, right? And so we saw EXP and so just to connect the dots, how we made it to EXP was we finally did it 10 years later, what Jay Ram told us to do, and it was working. It also took a ton of cash, meaning if I'm going to take you on your market, I've got to build all your marketing. I've got all these people, all these systems. I'm doing your branding. I'm doing your lead gen. I'm setting appointments. I got a call center making calls for you. And all you're doing is the surgeon going in and take the listing, go in and work the buyer, do the deal. We mainly focused on listings. And so we did 272 transactions the first year from zero with this model. And then we saw EXP's model. And thankfully, it clicked, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about why it clicked in a second. And so again, what survives the calendar, work, get paid, reset, all of these examples I think you guys get. So, and this is what happened. This is 8 years at EXP. And I'll show the numbers here in a second. It's unbelievable what this opportunity is. It really is. Whether you're at EXP or not, you need to just understand the financial model of what is possible. And so I put, when you start making money, so me and my wife, we moved, actually I would say, me and my wife moved to Puerto Rico, her kicking and screaming the whole time. We moved down there because taxes are 4%, and it was a time of COVID and all that, and it was like Mike and his wife said yes, Amber said, we couldn't believe they said yes. We're like, we're moving to Puerto Rico. So we moved down there, and revenue shares paid me over $20 million in 8 years, just to put this in perspective, okay? $20 million. And it's not because I'm special, guys, okay? This is not at all because I didn't do anything crazy. I recruited 2 people a month for the last 8 years. That's it. 2. That's it. And it turned into 10,000 agents. I didn't recruit 10,000 agents. I recruited 2 people a month. That's all I did. And $20 million at the end of 8 years. It was a little over that now. And so you get a lot of money coming in like that every month, and you got to start investing it. Guess what's the new mountain that I was on? Managing your investments and putting money into places that don't go to zero. Okay, let me tell you something. They don't tell you about investing money. It is hard. And it's very difficult to create passive income. Okay, if anybody, most people that you know, even the richest people that you know, don't have a lot of passive income that's coming in. They're still on one of these mountains. And so I had done it through real estate, went to zero. Me and Mike Reese put $500,000 into GTAT. It was a stock. Nobody else invested. All right. Well, GTAT was supposed to get bought by Apple to have unbreakable glass on their iPhones. This was 15 years ago. Apple did their announcement. Me and Mike are watching. We're like, we're about to get rich, bro. We're about to get rich. First of all, it takes a lot to save up $500,000, right? You got to make $1 million, live off some of that, pay your taxes, be disciplined enough to hang on to $500 without buying the new boat or a bigger house or everything else that you can buy, because you're going to want to do that, and you will probably. So to have that to invest, we put it into GTAT, and we're watching the announcement, and Steve Jobs gives the announcement, and they don't say anything about the glass. The next day, the company goes bankrupt. So I didn't know they could go to zero, right? At that time, I thought, well, maybe they have a bad quarter. Maybe Apple doesn't buy them. They folded that next day, went to zero. I was like, you talk about sick to your stomach, right? It might take you a few years to accumulate $500,000 to learn that lesson, right? Right? So you make these investments. You move down to Puerto Rico, you're making all this money, and guess who lives down there? All the Bitcoin group. Who's about Bitcoiners in here? Anybody? Okay. How many of you got into Bitcoin and it was so volatile that you got the hell out of it? Anybody? Okay. So you haven't learned that lesson. If you get into Bitcoin, you better be able to set it and forget it, because you will go batshit crazy watching that thing go up and down. Literally. So you put some money into it, and the next thing you know, it's cut in half, and you're like, well, should we get out? Is it going to go to zero? Like, you have these other experiences like I've had, and you're like, I don't know, we should get out. This is what my Bitcoin strategy was: how to turn $100,000 into $50,000, right? And so you're invested all this money. You think, oh, it must be easy when you're making all that money. Hell no, it's way harder when you have money. It was easier when I didn't have money. I knew what I had to do every day. I was like, I just got to go to work. When you got money, you're like, I could make this evaporate. Like, watch, this is scary, okay? So whole new mountain I'm on, right? And so I put in, and I come back to real estate, multifamily. I'm listening to Grant Cardone, like going to his events. I'm like, all right, I'm on a GP team. I invest $500,000 into a Class A apartment building that I understood the deal. And I'm looking at the math. We're moving back from Puerto Rico at this time, coming back to the States. So my wife actually loves me at this time. And I'm like, I'm $500,000 in, 8% is the projected. By the way, 8% don't mean you're going to get 8%. I haven't got 8% yet. But that was what was on paper in the spreadsheet, was 8%. 8% is pretty decent. It's not bad. Not anymore. There's a lot of crazy things that are a lot higher than that. But 8% on average, I would tell you, in my life, is probably pretty true. Probably a little less. And so that's $3,333 a month, right? So that's not a lot of money. I'm taking $300,000 of passive income coming in, $400,000 some months, and I'm putting $500,000 of it into an apartment complex that's going to pay me $333. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. Like, I'm over here making the most ridiculous compounding passive income I've ever made in my life. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm taking all that money to make $3,000 a month. It didn't make sense. I was like, most people are never going to get to financial freedom. Most of you are never going to get to freedom the ways that we've been taught. And I've gone through all of these lessons, and I'm like, man, when you get to this mountain, get ready, because it's a ass whipping. And you save all, you get all to this point, you save all this money and you put it into something, and then you lose. It's disheartening. It's very disheartening. And so this was, and looking at this, we said, okay, well, this EXP opportunity, I'm in EXP. I've been here 8 years, making all this money. What if I took that money and I said, what if I just solved all the problems I know how to solve and partner, and I just did that for every agent that came to us at EXP? What would happen? What do you think would happen? If I built a whole team of rock star individuals that just came in and did what I used to do in partner, and I solved all of your problems, and I solved that first constraint, that would be the most significant thing that I could do. I could just keep the money and not do anything. I could just put it under my mattress maybe or whatever and watch it rot. Or I could do something that was worthy and valuable, worthy of my time. This is the mountain that I'm on now. And so revenue share didn't create my purpose. It reduced the financial pressure and gave purpose room to breathe. Right? It gave me the ability to see that, hey, you're in a place now, not 94% margin. For those of you who understand business and understand businesses, revenue share, $20 million, 94% margin. Unheard of. And so there was no expenses. But I said, what if I built the team that does everything I know that needs to be done so that you don't get stuck on the mountain trying to figure it out? Because every single one of us got in this business and we're just trying to figure it out. There is no guide. Nobody implements it for you. You got to figure that out too. How many of you struggle with implementing ideas? Right? Log into your Facebook ad manager today. If you haven't ever done that, just log in and see if you can figure that out. You can use ChatGPT all you want. See if you can figure it out. There's so many things that you have to learn in order to be able to solve the constraint that you're at right now. It took me years of spending money and try this, try that. But what if we could just solve that for you? That's where I'm at. I'm just giving you perspective for where I'm at on my mountain. So that $8,000 a month, $96,000 a year, to put that in perspective, you need $1.2 million of capital. So at your pace, you guys do the math for yourselves. How many years will it take you to have $1.2 million after your living expenses, after taxes, for you to have $1.2 million? Anybody? There's not a good or bad thing. Just know, you should know this number, just so you know it. Does anybody want to throw a number how many years it would take? Nobody wants to share? Come on, man. There's got to be somebody that wants to share. About 12? right? So that's what I learned. Okay, I learned the same thing. It takes a lot longer to get to 1.2 million after taxes that you could invest safely to get to just the $8,000 a month. And the story this is about is Harley. Who knows, who is it that met Harley in Cabo? So Harley works for me, full-time Harley. He's a friend of mine. I helped him build a business. He was in the mastermind room that I asked the $10 million question to. He was doing $2 million a year in his business, had his own company, wasn't ever going to join EXP. He's from Alaska. He literally loner, and he's just a different dude. And I said, what if there's a better way, Harley? What if there's a better way? So he finally comes over to EXP, and he works for me full-time on agent attraction and helping agents with agent attraction and the systems that we build around building revenue share at EXP. And he just jumps into my Zoom one day. Like, he does that because he just looks at my calendar, and if he thinks I'm in a window where I might have just finished, he'll jump in. He jumps in. He's like, dude, I got to show you this. His revenue share was, he started working for me a little over probably a year and a half ago. And he needed the money. He was broke. Literally broke. And I knew that, and I knew that, but he was asking me a lot of valuable questions. I was like, dude, if I had somebody to help agents build revenue share, because I can't do it all myself, that would be valuable. And so I hired him as a coach and paid him $6,000 a month. He got his first check, it was $8,000 in revenue share. That was the highest that it's ever been. And so to put in perspective what Harley's able to do while working full-time for me, recruiting on the side, like not full-time, he was able to get to a place where, and it's the time of year is a little different, it's seasonal, so it's not going to be 96,000 pace probably, but the evidence is there. Do you think you could convince Harley he needs to go sell houses right now? If in a year and a half you had $8,000 of passive income coming in, and you know that you would have to do for the next 12 years to generate that same the equivalent of 1.2 million to invest. Is everybody following what I'm saying? Okay. Mathematically, how long it will take you to get to the same place he was able to with revenue share in a year and a half, doing it part-time while working full-time for me. You could never, if you tried to convince Harley to go, listen, you could go he knows he could go make 20 grand selling a house. Any day of the week he could do it. You will never convince him that that's what he should do with his time. Never. Because he understands now the difference between what he would have to do in order to invest versus what he's building in revenue share. And that was it, that was just one example. And again, it's like, I think ChatGPT nerfed it up, right? Individual results may vary, not typical or guaranteed, of course, right? It's gotten to a point where it's trying to keep me out of trouble. But, so again, my story, 200 agents, 8 years, turned into 10,000. It's not automatic. Not every agent recruited. Some became leaders who developed other people. That's the leverage. That's the leverage. It's not somebody told somebody who told somebody, and they did stuff, and I didn't have anything to do with it. That's leverage. Now, if you really focus on it, you could grow it. You can't control it, but you can grow it. And so but you just need the first one. You just need one, and then you need to help that person succeed. That's it. This whole business model of EXP. Everybody hates getting recruited to EXP. I get it. Why would you change brokerages? You're over here trying to figure it out. You want to come over here and try to figure it out? That doesn't solve any of your problems. But what if we built a $100,000 a month marketing and implementation team that helped you get up your mountain and easier? I can't do the climb for you, but I can get real close to it. And so that was the idea I had about January. It was probably about a year and a half ago. And so this is stewardship. So because I can build it, I should. I get opportunities every other day. Something that I should do. You want to do this? You want to own title? Somebody texted me. You want to own insurance? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if that. I don't need more money. Is it fun? That's one of my questions. How fun is it? Not fun? No, probably not. Opportunity is not obligation. Capability is not calling. So just because I was good at what I do doesn't mean that I should do it. Compounding buys back your time. Stewardship decides what deserves it. Right? Really cool. The opportunity right now that is in front of all of us, and some of us are not seeing the evidence. You're looking at it and saying, I can't do it. It's not for me. I'm not a recruiter. All these stories you're telling yourself, you're looking at an opportunity that could change your life in the next 18 months, forever. And it's just the truth. I'm just telling you the absolute. I don't care if you ever do it or not. You don't have to. You want me to solve your biggest problem, get you making an extra $250,000 a year, I'll solve that problem. You can climb the mountains the way I did and go and learn all the same shit I've learned. It's a very long life. Okay, the gray hairs, I was plucking them out of my eyebrow this morning. I'm like, hey, where the hell are these coming from? It's like, it is exhausting. So what is worthy of everything I've become? That becomes the question. What's worthy of everything that all this shit I've gone through, me listening to Jay Abraham, but not listening to him, 10 years building a coaching company, you idiot. Like, go back. Somebody on my team found that video in Wistia. I hadn't watched it. I didn't even know it existed. And I was like, yep, could have used that about 10 years ago. Like, it was so painful to watch. And so say no to a profitable distraction. I get offered a mortgage opportunity every other day. It's like, it's an opportunity, yeah. Unless it helps me help agents close more deals, which it can, by the way. There's some of you lenders in the room. If you were offering Funnel Pilot and that was your conversation with agents, you could recruit more agents than anybody as a way to help. Instead of saying, hey, I want you to do business with me. Hey, let me show you how to add 2 to 3 deals a month to your business. And so that's the mechanism. But anyway, for lenders, there's a lot of value in this. All right, so next up, what is worthy of everything I've become? My life's work is helping people see a future they cannot see for themselves. All right, so I'm trying to put some color on what's possible for you. It's not too late. You're in the best time in our world's history in terms of opportunity right now. And then giving them the evidence to believe it's possible. That is what my job is my purpose is helping unlock the human who could build that business, who can build their future, right? So that's what I'm doing. So I built what comes next from the mountain I'm on, for the mountain most of you are on. Does that make sense? I'm on the mountain building something to help you get off the mountain that you're currently on. That was the last 18 months of my life. And so here's what you need on the mountain that you're on right now. So this is actionable for you guys. So the map. Okay, what's the earliest unresolved constraint between you and the results you're after? Whatever mountain that you're on, it starts with the map and asking that question. What's the earliest unresolved constraint in your business between you and the results you're after? Okay, and then there's the compass. Okay, what truth does this mountain require me to accept? That's a right or downer. What truth does this mountain require me to accept? What do you have to accept? What is possible that you can no longer say is impossible? Could you add 2 deals a month, 3 deals a month? Could you add 4 deals a month? If you only had to go on 8 appointments and you got 4 deals, could you do 8 appointments in a month? Is there enough time in the day? Probably, right? So wherever you're at, it's probably, there's a truth on the mountain that you're on that you have to be willing to stop ignoring and accept that it is absolutely possible for you to do that, all right? What is the smallest complete action that creates credible evidence? This becomes finding somebody that's teaching you a proven, repeatable system and following it to the T until you get enough evidence to say it works or it doesn't work. That is the key, because once you have evidence, you got to have the desire. I can't create that for you. So if you want more, then you have to be willing to give it a fair test and be coachable that you're probably missing something and be willing to learn that. That version of you is who will get to the top of the mountain you're on. Does that make sense? Okay, so the guide. Who's repeatedly solved this exact constraint and can help me follow the right sequence? I have spent years flying around the country, going to paying all these people. I have paid all the people that Jay Abraham mentioned. Did you hear that? You know whose mentor Craig Proctor, Joe Stump, Brian Buffini, Tom and Mike Ferry was? Jay Abraham. I found the guy that taught the guys that I paid all the money, right? So once I went outside of the industry, I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is the dude. Like, this guy's taught everybody in every industry business at a level that no one else had. I paid him a lot of money, and it was the best mentor I've ever. I was telling my wife earlier, I said, man, I need to call Jay Abraham and just tell him thank you again. Like, he was a great mentor. Wouldn't be here today had I not taken the chance and spent the money and gone to the event. And that blew my mind, right? Wouldn't be here today. All right, so those are the, did everybody get those? These are the 4 things you're taking on the mountain, okay? The guide, you need to have a guide. You need to have your flashlight. The flashlight, what's the smallest action that you could take? You just need to be able to see 3 feet in front of you. You don't need to be able to see how you're going to get to the top, okay? Solve the first constraint, small win, belief change. It becomes an owned belief, and now you know you're going to get to the top. Does that make sense? Right. Okay, so... and what I found in all of these coaches, trainers, and everything that taught all these different things, was that they were not. There's a lot of great ideas. Let's go build a YouTube channel. You need to shoot 2 videos a week, and they need to be like this and this and this. Now you got to learn a lot, okay, to be able to shoot videos. What the content should be. Do you need to learn how to edit them, and you hire an editor? All of these things you got to learn. Then you got to put it out there on YouTube, and you got to wait. And when's it going to pay you back? I don't know. You just hope. You just got to hope it's going to be worth it someday. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. But most of us in this room need to win a little sooner than that. So it's not the first constraint in your business that you don't have a YouTube channel. Does that make sense? It's the time to pay off, the time to win. You're going to lose interest in shoot those videos in about week 2. Okay? Has anybody done that, right? Something like you started doing it, you're like, oh, this is a lot to do, and I don't know if it's going to work or not, because there's no measurable way to know if you're actually winning or not. Okay? So all of these ideas out here, when you distill it down, you got to find the thing that is the most proven, repeatable system that can get you clients as quickly as possible. Quickly. Like not next month, next year, 2 months from now, 6 months. I need to get you a win. This person wants to list their house. If I can do that for you real quickly, you're going to be like, that shit works. Right? And so that's what this whole process is about. So if you could leverage my entire implementation team, I'll tell you what's funny. People all the time think they can copy what we do. I'm like, you have no idea what goes into making an ad work. What? Somebody agreed with me or what? Okay. No, it's absolutely fascinating. I studied this for years and years and years. It's just I beat my head. Unless you have mailed $12,400 worth of mailers that got 0 response, you are not qualified to talk about marketing. Okay? Yeah, and that's when I thought I knew what I was doing. I spent a lot of money in marketing. I never would have thought that wasn't going to work. And I was wrong. And I learned a lesson. And I learned it with my own money, not yours, thankfully. And so there's so many things that go into the offer, into the strategy, the messaging, your branding, funnels, lead gen, follow-up systems. All of this is the stuff that I suck at. I suck at building it. Okay? Even if you know everything, I could never build it all. I got a huge team. They're amazing. They're world-class, Olympic gold medalists at what they do, that do these things. Okay? And I built that team with the intention of solving the constraint. And here's the coolest. You want to know the coolest part? This is the coolest part. This is why I do what I do. Some of you know this. Some of you have no idea this is coming. Did you know I don't charge you anything ever? I do all this for free. For any one of you in this room. Did y'all know that? I'm not kidding. That's literally what I'm doing. And there's not one person in this room that can't get my whole entire team, $100,000 a month team, to do all of this for you in your current business and help you grow your business. Not one of you, every single one of you, for free. I'm not kidding. And I don't have a pitch. There's no credit card to get out. You can sit on your wallet. I'm not selling anything today, y'all. Everywhere I go, I get to help people and not charge them for money. This is where I'm at in my life. I get to do this for a living, and it's fun. That's why I enjoy this, right? It's super fun, right? So, and so again, what if that entire capability sat behind your business and you just had to go do what you do well? Most of you, if you're face to face with a client, you're going to tell me this. I imagine most of you say, I'm pretty good. They love me. Is that true? Do most of your clients love you? You just need people that need your help. Is that true or not true? If you had plenty of people that needed your help, you would probably sell more real estate, right? Now, or you could try to learn how to write offers, build a brand, lead gen, do a YouTube channel, follow up, content, strategy, and you got to learn a whole lot of stuff about what works and what doesn't and why and all of that good stuff. And then when you do all that, then you'll get there. That's what's being asked of us right now in this business. And so, all right, so we cleared the trail, we tested the route, and then we built the gondola to the top. And so what the gondola doesn't ski down the mountain for you. You still got to talk to people and do the work, but it's a shortcut to success. And so we made the technical climb dramatically shorter. All of the things you had to figure out, you ain't got to even know why. Little things like, if you run an ad, the reason I can generate leads at $3 a lead is because we understand the entire process and throughput. And if you put, this is so stupid, but it's true. If you put, click on the learn more button below the fold, okay, like where you have to click on it and open it up on a Facebook ad, you'll get probably a 14% lift, which is a big deal mathematically in terms of cost per lead. Probably 14% lift if you put that above the fold. That one little thing. Most people would never know that. So they learned this back in the day in marketing. Gary Halbert when they used to I wasn't around for this. If there's some of you maybe have been around for this. When everything was mail order, they would send you mail order, and they learned that if you didn't tell them to get out your checkbook, write a check to this, lick the stamp, lick the envelope, walk out to your mailbox, open the flag on your mail, stick it in the, when they did that on direct mail order, their direct mail, it made them millions of dollars because it gave them a few percentage points of actual throughput and people actually buying product. And this is Gary Halbert. These are old school marketers, right? And so the same principles still apply today. These are the things that you have to learn in order for a lot of this stuff to work. It took me 30 years of my life to learn all these things because $14,000, you mean we didn't get anybody to call? Like, did we put the wrong number on it? What the hell happened? And so all of these lessons come from lessons. Hey, listen, it's not a bad thing. Lessons taught or lessons bought or lessons taught, okay? When you spend your money and it doesn't work, you be like, hold on a second. Can we go back through the process again? Let me see where we were wrong. Because clearly we were wrong. But that is a learned mindset. That's a learned, I didn't say this shit don't work. Mail don't work. That's not what I said. I said, go back to the process. What the fuck did we miss? Okay? Like, and how did we miss it? And how do we make sure we don't miss it next time, right? That's a different mindset. I know direct mail works, and I've made it work before, and I've done it 100 times and it worked. I did not know what I did wrong, and I knew I missed something. And that is how you have to look at every step in the process when you're trying to learn. You have to be willing to realize that you're an idiot and you don't know something. And that's just, it's easy for me because I'm an idiot, like legitimately. So like being stupid is actually a benefit because I know I'm probably wrong, and that's basically where I start. Like, okay, I'm probably wrong here, or what am I missing, right? So huge distinction. So again, you don't have to learn copywriting. You don't have to learn offer construction, funnels, CRM architecture, media buying, automation, content strategy. You just have to be coachable. You have to be consistent, skilled at conversation. Again, skills that can be learned. Excellent at follow-up, trustworthy, comfortable with rejection. You're going to get some no's. Tom, Dave, did you ever get anybody say no? Yeah. Yeah. You got to love the no's, man. You're just getting that much closer to a yes. It's just a perspective, right? There's a number of ways to do it. So, disciplined in daily habits, masterful at the process. You got to become masterful at the process. And if you're not following a process, you're winging it. And so there's words that you can say will get you a better result. There's a text message and a follow-up campaign that will get 10x the number of people to reply than the one you're sending right now, right? You apply that across an entire funnel strategy, it's exponentially better results, right? Okay, so the first job is to solve your current business problem. So again, one message, one conversation, one appointment, one result that you can review. When you have that win, you're off to the races. Now you can grow it as big as you want to grow it. So Funnel Pilot is not the destination. It's the system that helps you create controlled throughput. That's what we built, was the system to help you create controlled throughput so that you can have enough conversations daily to set. If you get 30 conversations and you have 5 to 7 appointments, if you have 30 conversations and you have no appointments, what do you think that we're going to coach you on? What are you saying on the phone, right? So, by the way, if you had 30 people you talked to and you're like, man, damn it, what the hell, he said this, what should I have said here, right? You start to go like, I almost had a fish in the boat and I know I could have got it. That's what happens. Has anybody ever had that happen on the phone? You're like, man, I might have could have got, and then sometimes you're just like, I don't even know what you could have said for that one. And that might be true, but sometimes people say no. When I was calling expireds, I loved calling expireds. They're all assholes. To me, it's like getting to pick on somebody. It's like, and as soon as you get past their biggest, they're pissed always. And so, if you call them, and I had a guy hang up on me, and I called him back. I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry. We must have got disconnected. He said, well, no, we didn't get disconnected. I hung up on you. I said, dude, man, all I'm trying to do is help you. I said, well, let me ask you a question. He said, you got 60 seconds. Okay. This dude was a jerk. And so he wasn't really a jerk. He had a shitty agent before me. He said, I said, what were you moving for in the first place? He said, he cracked open that was the right question. He said, my best friend lives on the Tennessee River, and every day he calls me while he's fishing off the back porch of his house, and all I want to do is be there fishing, and right? I said, okay. I said, so if you had an offer, this sequence of question is important. If you had an offer that was acceptable to you, would you still consider selling? Think about what I just said. If you had an offer that was acceptable to you, okay, which means the answer has to be yes, would you still be open to selling? He said, well, yeah, I would. I said, why do you think the house didn't sell? He said, well, it's the market, it's this, that, and the other. I said, sir, I'm looking at 12 houses in your neighborhood that have sold since your house was on the market. I said, I don't think it has anything to do with the market. I said, I think I can get you to Tennessee and get you fishing off that back porch. Would it be okay if we set a time where I could come by and have a conversation or at least look at the property? And maybe I can help you. He's like, yeah, okay, blah, blah, blah. Set the appointment, took the listing, right? So that it would have been easy for me to be like, that dude's just a jerk. He hung up on me. Boo. Not doing this again. This sucks. Forget that. No, that's not how I read it. I just said, oh, this is fun. This guy should be, at least I'll have some fun with him, if nothing else. What do I got to lose, right? Like, what do I got to lose? It took me 20 seconds to call him back. So there's opportunity everywhere. It's how you perceive that failure. The struggle is the way. The struggle is the way. Embrace the struggle. When you're struggling is when you're going to learn and get better. And you got to have enough reps to have the distinction that it can be possible so that you own that belief. I knew that I could get that guy. That's why I called him back. I was like, he's going to be fun. This will be a fun story to tell on stage. That's not what I was thinking. But at the time, I was just like, I'm still going to get him, right? I'm like, he hung up on me. He's like, you got 60 seconds. I'm like, all right, I can do it in 60 seconds. I didn't know that. Now, that's just a really good question. Hey, why were you selling in the first place? And emotional, right? Got him right to forgetting about how pissed off he was. He had to lower his price. You guys all know the answer to that one, right? It was wrong. It was a bad price. It was just overpriced. So, all right, one message, one conversation. All right, we're good. So we're almost finished. All right. You do not have to be the expert who can solve every agent's problem. Now, if most of you would say, man, I ain't no good at it. I'm not a recruiter. I don't even want to recruit. And I hear that all the time. And so I'm just giving you perspective for those of you at EXP and understand revenue share now and are open to it. If your message was, hey, man, you want to come over to EXP? About 9 out of 10 people say no. Rightfully so, because it's a lateral move in their mind. They're on the mountain they're on right now, trying to figure the shit out like you are, okay? And they're over there trying to figure it out, and you're over there trying to figure it out. Like it looks like you're trying to figure it out too. I don't know why I would come over there and try to figure it out over there. Like that ain't my biggest problem. Does that make sense? We don't recruit to EXP. Like that's not the goal is not to recruit to EXP. The goal is, hey man, if I could help you add 2 to 3 deals a month to your business, would you be open to it if it didn't cost you anything? How many of you the answer would be yes? You like paying Zillow 41%? Anybody? What if you didn't have to pay a referral fee, you didn't have to pay a split, you didn't have to pay anything, no upfront fees, no upsells, no nothing, and they just did it all for you? Would you be open to it? Hey, join my webinar on Thursday. If that was your recruiting message, do you think you could become a recruiter? You think you could recruit 1 a month or be a rock star like me and do 2 a month? Right. What we're doing is changing the entire game. And so we made it easy by actually doing what? What are the principles of strategy of preeminence? How do I add the most value to somebody's life? Do that over and over again. That's the mountain I'm on right now. And it's fun. I get to do it and I don't have to charge anybody. Is everybody connecting the dots what the opportunity is? And so, by the way, cool thing happened at EXP. If you don't know, it's a big deal. Okay, it's called co-sponsorship. Before, if we weren't in alignment, somehow you were in my group, you're a honey badger, or you're not. You couldn't even work with me. We were competitors to a degree. Now with co-sponsorship at EXP, you can bring me in. I come over, I be the co-sponsor. Now me and you are partners. I give you Funnel Pilot, I give them Funnel Pilot. You win, they win, and then now together we're going to go build something together. That's pretty cool. That wasn't possible before. That you were stuck with who you were with, and you're like, man, I really like what Jay's doing. Too bad I can't do it. Now you can. And so the reason we built all this was the mechanics are now there for us to partner with anybody in the company and help anybody grow. And I can help you win with your production business, and I can help you win with agent attraction and whoever agent that you're talking to. So pretty cool stuff, right? All right, so the model is simpler than the industry makes it. Funnel Pilot, this solves your production problem. This gives you something valuable to share. Agent attraction, you connect agents to the solution and the team, and my team does everything. We build their brand. What we're doing with AI is bananas. How many of you are doing something or have done something with AI that is absolutely batshit crazy, right? It's unreal. And so one of the things that we're able to do now, what we do in a market, this isn't even part of the presentation. I'm just going to give you a little piece of what is different about this. So in your marketplace, there are people that are moving that are motivated. Okay, y'all probably know who they are. Like in my market in Frisco, I live in Frisco, which is North Dallas. So it's like Plano, Frisco, McKinney, Little Elm, the Colony, Prosper. I could do business in any of those cities that's not that far from me, and I would be like, I'd do business anywhere. We ask AI, where's the sweet spot in the market? Where is the most volume of search, people looking, and where's the most sales happening? And AI is very good. AI doesn't miss. 750,000 new construction. You should run this ad out of the ads that we run, and you should, everything that you need. This incentive that the builder's offering. So 3.9% financing, bake that into the image. This was a human process. This is all done through AI now. And so it doesn't miss. It's unbelievable. We were human. We made mistakes. We had to upgrade ads. We had to change images. We had to do things all the time. Now it's just like, bing, it nails it. Now, then we say, who is the most likely person that's going to buy that property? Who's actually buying it right now? And this was like, you'll kind of know this. You'll be like, yeah, well, they're leaving. I didn't know. This one I didn't know. I had 2 avatars. So what are their hopes, fears, concerns, desires about making this move? We're trying to identify who we're marketing to. So that particular 750,000 new construction house in Frisco is somebody leaving California. Sorry, y'all. That's true. They're still leaving. They're coming to Texas. And they are getting a technology job at Toyota World Headquarters or Dr. Pepper Keurig World Headquarters, which are both in Plano. And I was like, makes sense. I should have known that probably, but I didn't. I did, but I didn't, right? So like that's where the most volume of people are. So if we were to run an ad, then we know who we're trying to run the ad to, and we know what are their hopes, fears, concerns, desires, what's keeping them up at night. That's the other question we ask AI. This is what we create content around. And we actually do use video. You don't even have to shoot the video. It's really crazy. But the other avatar for me, and my market is the example, was people leaving Carrollton and the Colony, and they want to get their kids in Frisco School District. They're 46 years old. Their kids are 3 and 4, and they own a property that they bought 8 years ago in Carrollton, and they've got this much equity, and they have to sell that house to buy this one. They got 3% interest rate. That's why you run the 3.9% interest buy down for new construction into that particular subset of the market. Does that all make sense? Right? Very good at ad works. When you talk to them, it's really easy to sell that person. That's a listing and a sale, right? So, and again, those are $3 leads. $3 a lead. I get you 100 of those leads on a $300 ad spend, and you probably sell to good agents will sell more, but over time it just gets better because we didn't stop there. We say, okay, well, 70 of those people that we generated as a lead, those leads I never called, okay? So like if I didn't get a hold of you, man, I'm busy. I ain't calling you again. Like that we tend to not call the ones that we don't. If we don't get a hold of them or the automation doesn't get a response from them, then we would stop following up. We just didn't call them. But out of that 70 people that came in you didn't speak to, probably there's some people in there that are going to buy something, right? And so we said, okay, what's the content? Because they don't know, like if you've ever lead generated before and you called a lead, the lead said, yeah, man, I didn't fill nothing out. I must have got hacked on Facebook. It wasn't me. You ever had that? They don't know, like, and trust you. So what if we created content that was specific to those hopes, fears, concerns, desires, used AI to create it, and we put it into the follow-up sequence, and they've consumed a video that says the top 3 things you should know before you put your kids in Frisco School District, and then they got an automated text. You think they're more likely to reply, they know who you are, right? So the content now, I used to ask you to shoot this video with beautifully written by AI, and guess what percentage of agents would shoot it? No, not one. We suck at this. Like you'd be like, it's a bad hair day, I'll get to it next week. You never get to it. So we use AI to create that. And now we put that into the follow-up sequence. So you have a full-blown, we do your branding, we do your content, we do your lead gen, we build it all, we implement it all. It's all done for you. So that's what Funnel Pilot is, for those of you who don't know. And that's what our team does when people come and partner with us at EXP. And so instead of paying me a split, 50% like you used to in the past, it would be worth it, arguably. You pay me nothing, you just have to align with us at EXP. By the way, if you know any other agents that might be interested, we do a webinar every Thursday you can invite them to. If they're interested in trying to grow their business and are tired of paying the fees and all these expensive splits and all this stuff everywhere and being taken advantage of, we'd be happy for them to join the webinar, and we'll show them how we could help them, right? So that is literally what we do. This is in the last 18 months, just to give y'all perspective. So the first job is not to become an expert on the webinar. You just have to learn. You get a link. I give you a link, and if you can say, hey, do you want to sell more business? Somebody's going to join the webinar. Very easy to invite to. It doesn't cost you anything. You should see it. It's going to blow your mind. They get on the webinar. 50% of the agents that watch this join us. I've done webinars my whole life. I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. 50%. That's unheard of in the webinar world. All my mentors think I'm selling crack. You can't give away money and get 50% of people to take it. Like, it's unbelievable. And so, good stuff. But, all right, we're going to finish up. I know we're over time here. So, which constraint are you solving first? If you need more predictable, qualified conversations, I would say this is the best way that I could possibly help you. Create the first message, conversation, appointment proof. We get you set up when we do all that, so you don't have to figure anything out. I want to use this offer to help attract agents. Simple. Once you get set up, we give you a link. You watch a short video. You share that link. It's tracked back to you. If they come to EXP, I become co-sponsor, and we recruit them together. So simple, simple, simple. And so, all right, so the next 7 days. This will be, if you came on board, this is what we're going to really do with you, is we're going to get you set up. We're going to get leads turned on, and we're going to test and get you through a period to get you to that first win so you have your first sale in real estate. That's what I focus on maniacally. My whole team is to get you to a place where you have the win and you're like, I am going to sell more houses. I see my future as believable and doable. That is the main goal of what we do there. So that's the first 6 steps there. So, and get you to evidence so that the belief is there. One conversation, one appointment, one client, one attracted agent. Once you have that proof point, I don't have to convince you anymore, right? You don't climb the mountain to prove who you are. You climb them to become the person your future requires. My job is to help unlock the human who can. You only need enough light to take the next step. That's all I got. Thank you, guys.